Hi, GV. How are you doing? Where are you joining from? And what time is it where you're from? It is 9:37 here. Not going to say anything? Well, okay. Kisses Lucky 18. How are you? How are you doing? Here goes. Hi, hi, hi. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome to my live. Thing. Okay. Where are you guys joining from? If you're still there, because I know with TikTok, you know, people just come on and just go. But remember to like up the live and all those fancy things. Ainsley, welcome. Denise, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so if you're new to my page, I'm a nurse. I'm Stacy. You can call me Stacy. Radiantly Boogie Ella. Hola, hola. How are you? Or Boogie. And Truth Talker, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Dalwayne Gordon, welcome. Yeah. So what you guys are up to? How was your 4th of July holiday if you celebrated it? Mine wasn't bad. So until you guys. I am doing well, Truth Talker. How are you doing? How was your 4th of July if that is something you celebrate? So mine wasn't so bad. After I was enjoying myself a little bit, you know, I'd seen where somebody had posted a comment to say that they're in San Antonio and they are, you know, it was raining. But I wasn't really following up with the news that here in Texas there are, you know, a few persons who are missing from the flash flood. So like about 6 hours from where I'm at, there is flooding. I think they said about 43 persons are missing. There was one camp that about 23 girls were on that camp, and I think they said a few of them are missing. So yeah, it was just sad when the person had said it, and I was like laughing because at the time I'm like, well, this is my, you know, this is what my weather looked like here. And then only to see the news and I'm like, oh gosh, I just feel bad because she was saying it was raining. Yeah, same here in okay, I am okay. You're in Canada. Okay, so how was your Canada Day? Because you guys celebrated Canada Day, what, on the 1st? Something like that. Hi, lady. Aaron. No, lady. Lara Nurse, welcome. They say it's about 50 missing now. Yeah, I think the last time I saw it was 43, which is just sad. It's just sad. There's so many things going on now. Capnut 87, welcome. Lisa, David. Yeah, these things just run so fast. But bedtime for you? What time is it? It is 9:41 here in Texas. So I am about to, I was at work in Canada in North Dakota. Okay. Are you a nurse, Truth Talker? Yeah, I never had any interest in going that side. I wanted to when I was doing contract. Oh, it's right here. I was doing a contract and you know, they'll send you everywhere at the time. That was my first contract here to the States. And I was like, please, I don't want to go anywhere that cold. But I ended up in Maine for some strange reason. But it wasn't that bad. I did enjoy the experience. I was a little bit boring, but yeah. No, trucking. Okay, cool, cool. I have a friend who does trucking as well. But I call it Over the Road. Yeah, well, two, because I met one the other night on my live. So, all Over the Road or something like that, he make mentions of. So, he's from Florida. He's in Florida, but we went to high school together. So, I met both of them. Well, one and then the other one online here. Big Brad, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Yeah, Marvin Lee, Janoy, I am the best. Okay. So are you like, off, taking some time off, no truth talker, or are you still on the road? Okay, nice, Big Brad. Nice. So, yeah. But I don't think, I love traveling, but I don't think I could, do some of those places that are so cold and always icy. Yeah. But how do you keep up with the weather changes? Like you always have to be on your phone, or, do you have alerts coming in every second to you when it comes on to traveling through different states? Because sometimes the weather is like very freaky. So I just retired from driving tractor. Okay, nice, nice. Are you in Jamaica, Big Brad? Or you're in the States here now? Because I saw the big Jamaica flag around the back, but I'm just curious. Yeah. Oh, you're in New Jersey. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Copper, welcome, welcome, welcome. Khalid Amoida, welcome. Yeah, so how was your holiday? Did you do anything fun for your holiday? I did play some badminton yesterday. I mean, I tell you, say, my legs them tired, them beat up. Yeah, but it was a good game. Just come back from Jamaica. Okay, nice. Yeah, I want to take a trip down there, but probably later on in the year for Christmas. Cooper balling. Yeah, probably later on in the year for Christmas, I'll take a trip down. Yeah. I wanted to go down for the summer, but the prices were a little bit too much and it was just too, yeah. So I'm going to Florida in 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks time, doing a road trip, and I'm excited about that. Just hope that the weather permits it. I'm looking forward to that. So, oh, you're going back in a month. Okay, okay, okay. Nice, nice. Yeah, so that part I'm looking forward to. I know by the time I get back, I'm going to be tired because, when you're doing road trips or you're doing any amount of driving, it's very tiresome. So I know I'm going to be tired when I get back, but I think I'm going to have fun. So I'm looking forward to it. So did you get any mangoes when you went down the other day, Big Brad? Because, every year I always miss the mango period, the season. Yeah, I miss the mango season. I actually love the Julie mango. I love the Julie mango. You did? Okay. Yeah, my sisters said that there's a lot of mangoes down there, so it's a pity me can't carry up none, or me can't get any here. I remember one time I come from here, Jamaica, and someone had asked me to bring up June plum. So me take the June plum and put it in some sacks. I wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. I told this story on my YT page. If you haven't subscribed yet, go over there and subscribe. It's ThinkNursing. But I did talk about the story where I was coming up, but it was a pregnant person. And we Jamaican, we always say if you're pregnant and you feel for something and you scratch your belly, you go and mark the baby, right? So anyway, somebody had asked for some June plum. So me decided to bring up the June plum. But you can't bring June plum and cut it up. You want the June plum to be eaten from the seed. And so the June plums, they're not really that big. They were pretty small. And because I think it was probably like the last of it. But the person was pregnant. And, you don't really want to disappoint any pregnant person. So I went ahead and wrapped the June plum in some socks and put it in my suitcase. Lo and behold, I was coming through when I was in Miami. When I was in Miami, the dog come over and sit beside me. So, them start to go the bag. And then finally, them find the June plum. At the time I had June plum, I had Aki. Because when I go Jamaica, I come back up, I come back up with everything Jamaican. From Aki, breadfruit, chocho. Chocho? Yeah, man, breadfruit, Aki, chocho. When I talk about thyme, rosemary, pimento seed, sorrel, dried sorrel. What else? Pumpkin. Because I ask people to go ahead and get the pumpkin, boil it, crush it out, freeze it in some little small bag looking like suck. What else? So that way when I'm ready to make my soup, I have small parcels of, pumpkin there. But may I tell you, I put every single thing in the suitcase. The dog come over and sit down and the lady go through. And she said, oh my God, what are these? And I have to explain all of them. So she said she was going to throw away the June plum. It was a good thing, She was very nice. And because I tell her, I said, no, I don't really want to throw away the June plum today. Because I promised, a pregnant lady the June plum. But me just never know that would I get catch with all of these things. I want to find the June plum. But anyway, she went ahead and she said, okay, then she's going to give me the June plum. So that's how I ended up with the 5 June plum to the lady. But yeah. I have to kill one of my mango tree when I go. Why? Is it like a lot of ants or so on it? Right now, because, once you start getting too much ants in a year little garden, everything else dead. Because that used to happen, with like my grandparents and the orange trees. Yeah. Once you start having like ants taking up or making nest in them, you have to just go ahead and start kill it before it actually destroy the entire farmland. Yeah. Also, Truth Talker asking the same thing. Why are you going to kill the mango tree? So, yeah. But I miss that. Oh, you're going to build a bar and restaurant. Okay, nice. That sounds good. Well, remember my channel is here or my page is here. So hit me up whenever you build your bar and restaurant. So that way I can come down and support you. Yeah. So, nice. So which parish are you from, Big Brad? Let me see if you're very far from where I'm at. Because I tend to kind of drive out Jamaica when I go down, Because, it's just not... Oh, people remember to go ahead and just... St. Elizabeth? I was looking on your page and I kind of figure more or less you come from St. Elizabeth. Yeah, man. I have some friends from St. Elizabeth from Great Pond in St. Elizabeth. One of them is here in the States as well, in Texas. My bestie. So, yeah. But that's where she's from. But definitely, I usually like to just travel around and, enjoy 1 or 2 places. But St. Elizabeth is always my place to go. Oh, somebody say, you're from Treasure Beach. Okay, around that side. You're familiar with the Parchments? But St. Elizabeth is usually my place to go, especially when I come on to fish. Oh, Lord, yes. I have to go down there so we go get my fish. Because I just feel as though Little Ochi just have the best fish. So I always go down there. I definitely have to go down there and get my fish. I usually like to try to go to what place in Portmore? Hellshaw. But Hellshaw fish them too expensive. Hellshaw fish is too expensive. I'm from Manchester. Sweet Manchester. I'm from. Or Mandeville, if you guys not familiar with Manchester, the parish. Yeah, but I'm not like Elsha. Elsha is okay, but them fish them always expensive. I just think the people over there have some really big chalk plate using to weigh the fish. And it really make no sense, man, because one of those plates probably weigh about £1 pound. Yeah, so man, I really like Elsha fish because of that. I don't think I get my money's worth. I prefer to drive from Hellshaw and go down to St. Elizabeth and probably get the fish about $150, $200, or $300 more cheaper. Yeah. But them festival always tastes good. So yeah, give them for that. Yes, cool Mandeville. Where are you from, Truth Talker? So I definitely, look forward to those things when I go back home. The other day when I went down, well, not in February. The other day when I went down, well, it was in February. I went to It was St. Thomas. Yeah, man, St. Thomas, and got some. It was the first time I was having, what is something the name again? Star fruit. Yeah, it was the first time I was having star fruit. I always see, but I've never had it for some strange reason. Always see it and never have it because it just never looks so sweet to me. And me pick. You're from St. Elizabeth. Okay, nice, nice. For some strange reason, I pick up this star fruit because everybody was eating it, and it never tastes good. It never tastes good, but for some strange reason, after I tried it, the one that I was eating, I decided to go ahead and give the little kids. I mean, I tell you, so when I see the little kids, I might eat it. I wonder if I might taste good off. But I never really enjoyed it. I never enjoyed it one bit. It was just, yeah, it just never tastes good. It never tastes good, but yeah. All right, just never tastes good. JJD, welcome, welcome. Oh, remember to go ahead and double tap my nose. Me only see how much likes on the board. I see 6 hearts and I see 7 purses, 9 purses. Just go ahead and double tap the nose. You understand? Like up the live. Okay, they're good when they're sweet. Okay. No, I think I'm gonna try it again though, honestly. I don't think I'm gonna try it again. I don't think I'm gonna try it again. Yeah. You too, Marvin. Thank you for tuning in. Really do appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, so what you guys did yesterday for your 4th of July. I did got about 30 minutes off, you know, the fireworks this time around, just because, you know, I had 1 and 2 persons who definitely wanted to see, so I went and got that taken care of. And it was pretty good. It was very loud as usual. Drinking hard. Not too much now. Not too much now. Oh, you think I just tried the wrong set of star fruit? Okay, okay. Well, probably give it another try. I'll probably give it another try, if you say so. Oh, you just relax home? Okay, nice, yeah. I only decided to go out because I was like, all right, you know. And then it was like, I was hearing so many sounds going off outside. So I was like, all right, let me go to one of those places that, you know, normally has a lot of firework. And it's always pretty nice. But may I tell you, so the traffic to come back. So it took me about, let's say about 20 minutes of a drive. But may I tell you, it take about 2 hours to come back home because the place was just so congested with traffic. And it was at that time I kind of regret going down there. Star fruits and dragon fruits are very expensive in Jamaica. Okay, okay, okay. I don't really know the prices, you know, because as I say, it's something women normally, you know, look forward to buying. You like guinea? Yes, I love guinea. We used to have guinea tree at home, but then the black ants started take it over, so we had to cut down a part of it. Then one next section of it kind of start growing. Yeah, the one that oh. No. Guineas, well, exactly, probably, yeah. Because guineas are usually pretty sweet if you get the real, you know, the real ones. Hi, Mama Bear. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for saying that. So King said me have 2 bottles. Don't drink too much now, you know, King. Try not to do that now, all right? Yeah, don't overindulge today. But that was it. So nice. So yeah, but some of those things I really miss them. Nowadays I don't really enjoy any fruits here. Let's just say I don't really enjoy much of the fruits here because it don't really taste that good to me. So I'm not really, most of the time I buy it and it just spoil. So, but that's it. You drink, you have to detox your liver, bro. Definitely. Or else you're gonna start having some of those pain that, you know, you don't want. Start having the eyes looking yellow and all them things there. I've seen too many patients, you know, who have, you know, all of those side effects from drinking. And it not nice, you know, look good. But you know that sometimes, especially our vegetarians as well, sometimes they have, liver problems as well because of the amount of um, alcohol that is in all of those green foods as well. So you've seen like um, cows usually tend to have liver cirrhosis as well, just because of the grass that they're eating and all of that alcohol in it. Fire, how are you? Welcome, welcome. This is one of my classmates as well from primary school. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time, so we reconnected like, couple of weeks ago on TikTok here. So I've been connecting with a few persons on TikTok, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So we were in the same class in primary school, which was nice. So thank you so much for liking up the live. Pre-owns Auto, thank you for tuning in. Errol Channer. Yeah, so that's about it on that. But I'm trying to go, I'm trying to eat a little cleaner. I'm not really can do much of the vegetarian, but I'm trying. Even though you see the chicken yesterday. I am trying. Yes, I am trying. I'm trying to eat a little bit healthier. I don't want to put on too much weight. Come here till say it's hard for work off. You drink 1.5 bottle already. Not drink yourself to death, no, Mr. King. Please, may I beg you. All right, throw away the rest of it. Throw it out. All right. But yeah, I'm trying to eat healthier, cleaner. I make sure that, I cut out a lot of those refined sugar and see if I can eat like, if it's, well, I normally buy, like, they have the vegetarian hot dogs. I'll try to buy those. And they have this other brand of vegetarian meals. So they have like the chicken nuggets. I like that one, so I can eat it. And I'm trying to cut out I'm trying to use only like the grapeseed oil and coconut oil, in terms of oil and fats, as much as I possibly can. Yeah. So yesterday was the first time I tried frying fried dumpling with the coconut oil, because usually me use the regular coconut oil. For some strange reason, it tasted good because it was hot, but then I realized after you put it down, it don't really taste that nice again. So yeah, coconut oil is the best, definitely. I use the one that which one? It gets very hard. There's this brand that I like, that I use, and I still use it in my hair, and I use it on my skin. So I go ahead and put it in a bottle and rub up my skin a morning time, so that way, any little stretch mark. Fire, welcome, welcome. Any little stretch mark that I might have, just kind of clear it up and make it look nice. And funny enough, well, I really have like, but yeah, I use it in my hair and I use it on my skin with some ginseng. So I mix up my own little, the shea butter, the ginseng, tea tree oil, cocoa butter, a little castor oil, and well, the castor oil is in another bottle with like, peppermint and what else? The tea tree oil, because that one can have a different smell. So I'll use it and just rub it on my scalp in the morning. But in the regular bottle that I still do use in my hair and on my skin, that one, yeah. So I look shiny most of the time. The best thing for skin and hair, yes, definitely, definitely. Fire, how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
You're
Just,
good. Where you come from? Work? You go sleep now?
no, just reach.
Reach work or home? Signal gone, probably. Yeah, but I actually like it. I like it. I've been using it for a long time. Uh, Hello? Uh-huh.
I'm here, I'm here. Just give me a second. Let me just clock in because I just reached.
Oh, yeah,
One
man, do
second.
your thing. Yeah,
Oh
man, do
no.
you think? Yes, I do use that, but with the castor oil, the castor oil can have a smell, so I have to kind of mix it with small amount of like the peppermint and the tea tree oil to kind of cut down the smell. But my hair smell okay. It kind of smell like smoke. I'm gonna wash it tomorrow because yesterday I was,
I
doing a
was
little bit of a
grilling.
twerk. So
Yesterday I was grilling, showing off a
yes,
nice chicken.
yes, yes. I did actually good, except that the coal is the actual coal that I use and never have anything to kind of light it. So I have to go old school way. So it's kind of find things trying
Plastic
to
bag.
find. If I tell you it's a Walmart bag, I may try use for catch the fire. It wanna stay, and then may have to get like the styrofoam paper, the
Right,
plate,
right,
and then cut it up
right,
and
right.
then try for something there. But me never did a blow underneath there if you try to get it going. But anyways, it worked. It worked. So that was good. That's what we used to use in the early days, coconut oil for everything. Exactly. Exactly. I don't remember if anybody used to tell you that you smell like coconut oil. Nobody ever used to tell me something smell like coconut oil. And right about now, I don't think anybody say anything like that. But I don't think it smell like
Even if
coconut
they're
oil.
thinking it, they're not gonna
They're
say it.
probably not going to say it either way. But mother here already long time. Yeah, mother here already long time. So I make sure I just put little things in it to kind of change the smell a bit. But may I tell you, say I may use every single day. It me use every single day and oil down because I just think it kind of gives you a different glow and it just makes your skin look cleaner. Yeah. So yeah, and like when I'm doing like a deep treat, like one of those hot steam, like with my hair, then me paste it in there. So sometimes I walk around in the house and the place, like my hair is like it's melting or the coconut oil is like melting. But it makes it feel so much stronger. I actually like it. Actually like it. So yeah. So what's on your list of things to do tonight, Fire?
Read.
Oh Jesus. Oh, it's not a busy night.
No, no, we'll have a few guests tonight.
Okay, okay. I remember when I used to do night shift, I used to do that. I used to bring my little book, especially when I was studying for my NP. I used to bring my little book, but I wrap it. Wrap my book. Because everybody know your business. You just go ahead and just wrap it with a little nice wrapping paper and just go in. So that way whenever I'm there, I'll be like, browsing through and reading. They don't want people to start so that you're reading on the job and then, persons out there, them go and tell manager or manager see you on the camera reading on the job, sometimes then complain and all them stuff there. But definitely. So truth talker says it don't block your pores, it allows the skin to breathe coconut. Yes, definitely, definitely. Definitely. Years ago, my grandma used to make coconut oil. And we used to eat some part of it. The part that
Custard.
the custard. Yes.
Nice. Oh God.
Exactly.
Please
Used to
don't
smell.
talk about it.
So used to smell so good. Used to smell so good, and you just sit down and eat it. And it's the same thing you're using on your skin, you use back in your hair. But you have them in separate bottles, people. If you're not from, if you're not accustomed to what we're talking about. You have them in separate bottle, one for the hair and one for the kitchen. All right, so yeah, but that was just it. So what you did yesterday, Fire, for your holiday?
I told you, I went to watch the fireworks. I was very uncomfortable though, as I've explained to you. It was, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to hearing that sound at one point. I thought I was okay, like it doesn't affect me because I'm so used to it. But
Mm-hmm.
since I've been out of that environment for almost a year now, yesterday was like all the things that
The
used to
flashbacks,
transpire came running through my mind, and I'm like, start to become a little bit
paranoid.
scared out here, you know?
It was the same feeling like when I was down by the I don't remember where it was. It wasn't really a park. It was a stadium. It was the same thing when I was down there. May I tell you, when the sounds were going off, it's like me just a look round. Come here and say no, sir.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
man.
when it comes on to crowd, I'm not
And
really
it's
a big
not
fan
Christmas
of.
because we're programmed to hear those sounds at Christmas time.
Exactly,
And it's not even
exactly,
December, so we're like,
exactly. So that was just me, just around looking and be like, yeah, man. And only need 30 minutes, I'm gone. But by the time I look, it was like 30 minutes and it was the end of it. So it was pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, I really like crowd like that. So that even so, like a Jamaica, that's different. But here in the States, I really like for the crowds like that.
no, neither do I.
Welcome, welcome. How are you guys doing? Yeah, so that's just it. There you're a trophy. Hey Ali, welcome. Aaron Tani, Kioma, Don Culver. Yeah, so the year I tried with this thing. So from the other day, I have been posting. I know, yeah, we were asking the other day why you're not seeing me on my on your
Yeah,
on the.
you're not very popular on my For You page anymore. I'm like, what is happening?
I guess
I'm
because at
like,
the time probably the little video that I had that goes viral, probably I don't know if that was contributing to the For You page.
are you saying that you were consistent as you're accustomed to being consistent throughout the time?
Well,
Or it could be that the frequency of posting kind of a little bit slow down
uh-huh.
prior to what you used to do. It could be a number of factors, you know.
I think it was just that it was slowed down a little bit because at that time I had started this new job and I was trying to catch up on my notes. And so I wasn't really like I'll come on and I'll, do one and two little run through with engaging on some person's channel, but I wasn't like say posting. And that's what I
Right.
realized. If you're not posting and basically just make your presence be known either through posting or engaging, then that probably triggers, that thing with the For You page where you're not
Yeah,
on
man.
it that much.
I have a few people on my For You that when I open my thing, it's just these people. Like, sometimes I'm wondering if these are the only people that is in my my thing, because I'm like,
We
like
know.
my For You page is just these people constantly. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but every time I open and go on my For You page, there are a couple of people that are always
All
there. So I'm like, what is happening to you? I was like searching to see.
me drop off a TikTok.
I said, what did I see your far when?
Me drop off a TikTok. May I tell you, but may I try get back on because I've completed all my notes. So next week it's gonna be a new week. I'm gonna be able to see my patients and chart as I go along, and then try to make TikTok videos and post them. But the thing about it, the amount of TikTok videos I have, but they're just not edited as yet. That is a problem. Like, you're probably there talking, like in the mornings, I'm recording, and I keep on telling me that my phone is like actually full, so I need to get rid of some of the videos. So you might see that I am posting some videos.
Yeah, man, but no,
Because me
it's
not really
fine.
want to.
It's fine. Just post the content, man.
Yeah, so that's
The
what I'm.
perfect editing sometimes no work. Cause I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, listen what I'm saying. I've spent several days editing videos, right? To make sure it is
Okay.
perfect.
These are videos that I did that I haven't posted. These are yesterday.
What? Listen, you
So this
you need to
says,
work on them in the spare time, right? But I'm telling you, don't spend no 1 million years on a video editing it, because I'm telling you, those videos that I spend so
I
much
get the
time on,
views.
they're the least views.
Exactly.
You see the videos that I look my worst in.
That people click on.
The video that I look my worst in, and I never expect anything of it. Those are the videos that got the most dance views.
And that's what I realized. People just want to
But
see you, you know.
people just want to see an authentic self, you know.
Exactly. But sometimes, you know, you want to be an authentic self, and then what happens? You go viral, and you probably never want it to go viral with that video.
Oh, I'm in a business. I am human, and I'm not breaking the law. I'm not disgracing myself. I am not doing anything out of the norm. Normally, you'll never get me cover on the internet with my hair looking like this. He's a Rasta man with no business. Plus, it's foreign this. Nobody no business with a foreign.
Exactly.
Listen, when I was in Jamaica, every month I have to go to the hairdresser to get my hair done. It's been a year now, 1 year, almost a year now. I haven't seen a hairdresser. I feel so free. I feel so nice.
I may tell you, when we used to in Jamaica, you used to dress up. You're going at the town, and the town is what, only 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away, and you're dressed like
Just like a
just to go Mandeville. No.
Clean.
No, some days you say, okay then, let me run go to Walmart. At one point I used to do it, and then I say, I don't know if you dress like this, we go to Walmart, because when you go there, you feel like you go to a place.
First of all, I don't know if I have no yard clothes. I left all of them in Jamaica. I don't have yard clothes.
No yard clothes. Everything is just like one set.
Everything is just clothes where you wear regular and clothes where you don't wear so regular, you know? So, yeah. Yard clothes. Yard clothes are yard.
America change up everything.
But me appreciate the part when we don't have to be. I say me not dressy, you know, but you know, when they used to stress me, I let me go to work, I'm gonna do me, them bother me every day, sir.
When you going to?
Oh man, sir, oh God, sir.
That's Jamaica.
Yeah, stress me out the video. I go to work, sir. You need to get your hair done, sir. Them stress me out. And then I have to do me and then I say, yes, sir. So you have to look.
So you must come back and look good.
Can't bother.
Foreign. If you tell you, then just pass you. When I like to smell sweet, just pass.
Yeah, I like a party of most. I have to worry myself.
I actually like it when we in Jamaica. Like, you know, you dress up and you feel good and you step out and you go a road. I actually like it. I don't lie. You understand? I don't lie.
Right now, if most of the time you see me, yes, I'm look like criminal. You know? You know, listen, I spent 10 years in education. And you know where education go. Every day sitting and choke me. And my pants steam them straight. And a gentleman with a pointed mouth. You can imagine dressing like that for 10 years?
If I tell you.
You see, all on weekends, nobody no wants to see me on weekends. Weekends, me no want tear up jeans. And so, if you see me on weekends, you couldn't believe.
Well dressed down.
Every chance me get, man. You see me come here, so? Lord God.
I think it was the same thing, like, you know, to everybody try make ends meet. Yes, that's true. You know, and I think it's the same thing with me. Like, I always just want to put on my flip-flop. Me tired of the sneakers, me tired of the shoes. Me just want to put on my flip-flop and just go on the road.
Me tired to see ugly Crocs them. Your Crocs them ugly, but
I don't know where I got patient house. That my wear go patient house and then carry go throw in my car back. And my bucket. My container. Yeah, because, you know, you can't wash off.
Disinfectant.
I'm gonna sit in there, and then like when I come home, like on weekends, then me just go and throw some water and wash it off. Put my little bleach in the wash it off and call it a day. Exactly, make the body breathe. Yeah, because
my body not see over here, someone. Oh, love it. Love it, man. Why this video?
I guess that's why, like, sometimes when I go to work, if I see persons in their scrubs and them scrub look like, you know, Kalaloo, as we normally would say. It annoys me.
When we are in Jamaica, we put on electric iron pan coal stove.
Pan coal stove to get it hot to iron.
Or pan the stove. You ever hot pot? You ever put a pot on the stove make it hot and use the iron yet?
No.
That's how serious ironing used to be.
Yeah, Sunday daytime was a headache because you have to think about ironing for work or for school at that time. So definitely, like even now, I still find myself ironing on Sunday. So even though my scrubs, they, you know, once I catch them at the right time from taking them from out of the dryer, I don't need to
Listen,
iron them, but I'm still in a this
listen.
habit
I
of
just take them out of the
iron
thing and put them on the
the
hanger
hanger.
immediately. Make it cool on the hanger. You hear me?
But
I
even
have
so, we
time for your
still go
hire
ahead
nothing.
and do mine. We still go
Enough
ahead and
time, you're
iron the
nice.
clothes. Eh?
You have a whole heap of time, man. Very good. I commend you.
No, me not have no time, I don't have any time, but me just feel as though when we put on it, me can't see that it no iron. So me just find the time to make sure it's okay. Then me press it out and call it a day. And yeah, I mean that. Just feel a little bit more complete when I do it like that. Making sure that there's no crush on the uniform. But yeah. I actually like the scrub that I am wearing now because on days when you're in a rush, I can still just go ahead and quickly do that and be good. Nobody care about our normal or abnormal dressing for in here. No. And then when it's time for us to go back to Jamaica, say you end up doing what? You're spending so much money because guess what? You are going to Jamaica to blend back into the norm. Where,
I'm in a business.
you're going back. Well, when we go back to Jamaica nowadays, because I'm kind of sick and tired of bringing down big bag. I can't bother with no luggage when I travel. I travel very light nowadays. One bag for my back, and that's it. You understand? I'm probably carrying a carry-on and that's
travel light from a long time.
Oh.
Everybody who know me just knows when them see me are too long and them I say.
Hey, when I come from Jamaica, I normally have like, big bags because I bring up stuff. But like when I go down nowadays, no, I can't bother. Cannot be bothered anymore. I just want to go, take out my bag from, my carry-on and just walk. Me no want to go for look for no suitcase or nothing like that. I'm tired of it. It slows me down and we just want to get out of the airport. So me no bother walk with them stuff there. So what I'm bringing, I travel very light, very, very light. Just like when you see some of these Americans when they're traveling and they're walking with just one little suitcase and you're wondering where the clothes is. As some mine look nowadays. But me still have a little bit more than, but yeah. I go home very simple. I have clothes leave back in Jamaica. Them can't fit you. Me travel very simply, yes, but may I tell you, say
That's a hit below the belt. How dare you?
But me not know if you put on weight or if you get slim.
Hello, the lady says she have clothes and she have clothes. Leave her alone. But if you can fit her.
If you can't fit you, well, when I go down make my work, they can't fit you. Okay.
It's company, yeah, look.
May I go down from one them can't fit me. Can't fit me. Lord have mercy. But I walk with a lot of tights. I walk with a lot of tights because it's just easy. It's small, 15 at the bag, and just easier to go. As someone put on my bag, I mean, gone through airport. That's it. Nobody knows me again. Thank you for the follow, Michael B. Nobody knows me again. You understand? So, and sometimes, like, I go down, depending on what's happening, it might be a case where I feel like when. But decide, say, me just want, I was going to get a car from somebody, and I just decided that this is just going to be me. Me feel like I want to take the bus. You understand? So, when I reach at airport, it was the nicest feeling. I'm going to grab a bus, I'm gone. So, it was nice. When I go downtown, never too nice, but it was a nice, like a reminder of, what it is like. Because every time I go down here, I jump in a one car or, you get your rental and you go about your business and you just drive up.
Why you think we're so passionate about the GLE?
Yeah, man, we love for them. Like when I go back
It's been
home.
1 year now since I don't drive. I feel a sense of freedom. I just feel like I don't want to get a car.
Oh, it just feels nicer. Like, you're doing this every day. Every day when I go down, I just want to just do something that is different. Take a bus, go somewhere, and just walk up and down at the town, and just enjoy. Sit down.
When you drive all the time, when you're in the passenger seat or the back seat, it's like it's almost luxury.
Exactly. But me tell you something, go down doing I'm scared of me. I'm on the road, I'm scared of me. They on the road because I tell you, say, the other day I was driving. I feel wonder what go on because not only the taxis, But everybody there on the corner, everybody on the side. Me even see this Juta bus. This Juta bus, I was coming from Montego Bay. Me see this Juta bus right in at the like there was this grass on the side, but you could actually fit a bus on it. Over there, so me see the Juta bus with tourists. I said, no, sir, this thing I get out of hand. And then you have the regular, the regular taxis that are doing their own thing, and regular private vehicles are doing their own thing. It awful, don't it? It scare me real bad. It scare me real bad, but yeah, I actually enjoy, when I go down and just be enjoying a little bit. Them not slowing down. Exactly. Them not slowing down. You have to literally get out of them way. You literally have to just get out of them way because nobody not stopping. Nothing at all. The road is just theirs. But then call it again. Them have a new name for them. I don't remember. I think there was a song about it. But the people them not slowing down and then just blowing you like they're just in so much of a rush. And sometimes I'm wondering where they're going because me can't see anywhere else to go. But these folks are just there. They're just like tooting, hey, get out of the way. Like there's somewhere for you to go. Who is this? Nick X? Welcome. The road are done. Exactly. It's just so awful. But I always look forward to, just going down and just trying to blend in back with my people. Walk my little community, walk those roads. Now the roads them seem like it's a little bit shorter than usual. And the road is a little bit better than what it was years ago. So
Narrow.
Huh?
It looked narrower than usual.
Exactly. Yeah. So I tend to just walk around and just enjoy a little bit of the road down there. Last time I think it was raining at one point. I tell you, red dirt that kill me. Because the backside digging up a lot of place. So me decided, say, yeah man, now is the perfect time to do a walk. Because it has been a long time since we actually go outside and just be enjoying a little nature where rain falls. So I say, all right, let me just go and walk. I tell you, so the red dirt almost take me away. Oh Lord. But yeah, miss the little, fun of being back home. Red dirt good for the foot. Yes, it is. It is, but then you have to think about how to clean it off. You understand? You're going to have to sit down and scrub. But it was good. It was good. And at the time, I'd only walk with one sneakers, and the sneakers it wasn't white. It was like a gray kind of, lightish color. So, the whole of that mud up. But thankfully, I could rinse it off, which was good. Yeah, so definitely. So
I'm gonna jump off in the nurse because I'm in a laundry room and I'll be a nice go in here.
Oh, do you think?
Alright, so I'm gonna go in the comments. Well, I'm gonna listen to you, but I'm going to go in the comments because I'm busy.
Yeah, man. You can just mute it if anything. Hey, Romaine, how are you doing? So basically, that's about that. I have a friend who how are you doing tonight, and where are you joining from? You good? All right, me follow you back. Okay. I had a friend who was talking to me the other day about a friend who was sick, and then before the end of the day, the person actually died, which was just so sad. It's just so sad. So make sure if you have your friends out there, call them up, talk to them every now and again, make sure that they're doing okay. Stay in connection with them so you can be there for them, because some of them are going through some situations and they probably don't share with you because they probably don't want you to be thinking about what's going on and make it be a burden, for yourself. Make their burden be your problem. And so they probably don't share it with anybody. And, it's something that, when they do pass, it becomes a shocker to everybody, just because they never really want you to be experiencing certain things with them. Because, you have some persons who kind of put them life on hold just because somebody else is dealing with something else. And you have some persons who are going through their bad situation and just feel as though, I don't think anybody should be putting their life on hold to come and deal with my issue that can be fixed. And so, sometimes people have regrets about not keeping communication and all with others. You have some persons who just end up dying alone, feeling sad because they just feel as though it's their problem. They should just go ahead and deal with it by themselves. And then you have persons who are living, who are just thinking about, the what if I had known. Who this call me at 10 o'clock at night? Well, I don't know who you be, so I can't call back and leave a message. Yeah, can't call back and leave a message. That's just weird. What time now? 10:30. Let me see. Can I get any message? Yeah. Don't know that number. They always have some people just call at some other time. Yeah, so that's just the situation for some persons out there. Truth talker says, but sometimes they can get help, but they don't talk. Exactly. And that's just it. People deal with things differently. Some people just deal with things differently, and yeah, it's just sad for some persons out there. So that's what they're dealing with, or that family is dealing with right now. So just have to remember each other, in our prayers. When you don't hear from somebody, if they're too quiet, just reach out, send a text message and hear how they're doing. Try calling them, hear how they're doing. And that's it. And especially now with the with everything that is going on with Medicaid. Let's try to see if I can link this with everything that is going on now in healthcare with Medicaid. And, a lot of persons probably going to be getting cut with when it comes on to their insurance, accessing care and all those things. We're going to have a lot of persons who are going to have so many underlying conditions, chronic conditions, dealing with their cancer and can't seek health care. They can't seek the help that they need. And so this is a time where you're going to find that you have a lot of persons suffering from depression, anxiety, panic attack, going into hospitals when their situations are very, very complicated. The prognosis is very poor. And you're going to hear that, Tom over that side didn't make it out of hospital. We don't know what's going on with them or what was going on with them. You understand? And it is because of things like that. So now is the time we need to reach out to each other and just be there for them during this time. But early days, we didn't have it this way. No, we didn't. I remember, in Jamaica, you could actually go to your neighbor and you talk about certain things, and your neighbor always know your business for some strange reason, because it was just how you communicated. Those communities were very tight knit. So you always can talk with your neighbors about whatever it is that is going on. Them always know your business. You understand? And that was just it. Nowadays, here in the States, it's a little bit different, so much different. Come here to say, probably see my neighbor 1 and 2 times. You understand? And that's it. Don't know anything about my neighbor. If 1 week, 1 month pass, I probably don't see my neighbor, it coming like a normal thing. It come like a normal thing. It's not like in Jamaica where you don't hear the pot or, nobody cussing or you don't see anybody outside. Where you can say, okay, then it has been 2 days, it has been 5 days since me not see John outside. When I walk over John house and go see if John alright. You understand him way there? Because if John go foreign, you're going to know that John gone foreign. Because John go tell you, say, in my coat. Or you see the smoke, exactly. John go tell you, say, him a go foreign or him a go town or something. So you know that John is not there. And so if the place is quiet, it is normal to be quiet at that time because John and the family gone. But no, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. But yeah. But I remember we used herbs to the fullest. Exactly. I remember I had this boil on my left leg when I was in grade 3. And at the time, my grandparents, you remember putting pepper leaf? They have pepper leaf that they put on at the time we had lamp. And you put it over the fire and you put a castor oil. I remember you put on it. Something on it, you rub it on it. And then you heat it up over the fire and then you put it on the boil. And then when you put it on the boil, what happened? It stays there and then the boil bursts and whatever come out and then you put on the black dressing. Pepper leaf, castor oil. Okay, so I'm correct. Yeah, man, you put that on because you're going to draw out the inflammation. Like years ago, everybody was doing that. It was like a norm. You don't see anybody doing them stuff there nowadays. Or sometimes you just use the Cerasi, rub up the Cerasi and rub it on your rash. And it was the same thing with the single Bible or aloe vera. You use the aloe vera and you rub it on your eczema. Yeah, and it helps with that. There were so many things that they normally do back in the days. And you remember salt and lime? Her mother owned pitney. Rick, sir, welcome. I don't really know what you're talking about here, but her mother owned pitney. But yeah, salt and lime. If you're suffering from a lot of blackhead, or if you're suffering from bumps, you can always use the salt and lime or lemon and rub it on. Okay, thank you. You just take it and rub it on your bump, and it kind of help with getting those bumps off. So there were so many things that we used to use back then. There was, and even to date, I think we have a bottle with me right now that I bring from Jamaica. Where it was the pimento, a piece of the bark, you call it, the bark from the pimento tree. You put some pimento pimento leaf. And what else in the bottle? I don't even know what else in the bottle. And then you put the rum in there and you make it stay there and ferment for how long? And then if your head hurt, you take some and rub it on your head. I don't really use it that much. But me have it. And if arthritis are licking in your leg, you just take it and just go so. You understand? I saw your mom this morning on live with you, which I didn't know was your mom. So I am complimenting. On live this morning. You have to go tell me that one there, because I remember. But anyways, yeah, you have to go tell me that one there. But yeah, so you rub it and you take it and put it on the beer rum, Colongo water. Okay, yes, you put the beer rum in there and you do your little thing. And it helps with any little thing. If you have back pain, they take it and start pat the back with it. And then, well, my grandma used to just burp. You start patter with it and she just start burp. And she say, I guess. Yeah, man. You start burp because you beat out all of that gas with that little mix up there. And then, like, if you're very stuffy, you can also go ahead and inhale it. And that was good. But yeah, I remember all of those things. Remember all of those little things. When you was talking about you have her mouth, she was asking you when them questions, them a question you for. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm kind of lost here, but thank you so much for, commenting. I guess once I start understanding what you're talking about, rice or Rixer B20, then I think we will, Okay, you say it's a late video. Okay. It could be a late video, but I saw it today. Okay. Is it here on TikTok or on YT? Yes, just go ahead and let me know. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kind of just down here so talk about, some of the things that we were doing. TikTok, okay. We're talking about some of the things we were doing back then when it comes on to herbs in Jamaica that I still use as a part of, my everyday life sometimes. So we're talking about the beer rum and the, what is YT? YT, lots of remedies with herbs. So just like how you have TikTok and you have other social media platforms, there's one that is YT. I have a channel there. It is my channel is ThinkNursing. So you can go over to YT. As I said, just like how you have other channels. I don't know if I can say it here on the live, but I don't want to get my channel or my live, get ding by making mention. But you can also go in my Okay. Yes. Okay, I will try to pick that up. But definitely, yes, that's it. So I thought YT was, yes, it is that Rixer B. I don't know if I can say it on the live because TikTok is very weird and I'm still learning. But I know I heard somebody say you can't really say it. So you just have to say YT. So I just kind of get into the habit of saying YT when I'm doing the live. All right. But yeah. So that's that. Dr. Orlando Thumb, welcome. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And yeah, so we're talking about those. So we're talking about the peppermint and all them stuff there. And also for liver spot. Oh, somebody gave me a heart up there. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We're talking about the different things, and then I don't know how many persons. I think the lemon and the lime can also use when you have, some persons suffer from liver spot. They still use that in the on the back as well. What else? Yeah, those are about a few other things I can remember that we used to use, but we never really used to use a lot of medication, prescription drugs or anything like that. If you do need it, then definitely you'll use it. But what's for colic? Colic. How we use the colic again? Fungus blue and lime. That's a blue that we use for on the clothes. A blue what we use on clothes. I remember nothing about the fungus part, I don't really know about the fungus, blue and lime. Yeah? Okay. As I talk about the blue, a long time I didn't see the blue though, A long time I didn't see blue. I remember someone was using blue at them time before use on the white. When you're using it on the white, I mean, I tell you, say the white turned blue. Yeah, man, because they were using so much of that blue when they're washing the white clothes. Yeah. But definitely, there were so many things that, you could find around the home. And the Cersei was the same thing as well. I said the Cersei, when you use the Cersei and you rub it up and you put it on your little rash, You know, you put it on your rash and that usually helps with it. But I never really like Cersei, you know. I bet you don't remember me. Me tend to remember a lot of people, you know, out of sight, not always out of mind, but yeah, I tend to remember a lot of persons. Rixer B20. Yeah. But there are so many things that we used to use back in the days that helps with, you know, that you have around the home that we could actually use. That was pretty nice. We use King of the Forest too for the skin. Yes. But I remember King of the Forest, how it looked. But I remember my grandparents used to talk about that a lot because it has a lot of benefits. King of the Forest does have a lot of benefits. There. I think they put it in the same bottle that I was telling you about with the beer rum. You put it with that as well, with the bark of the pimento tree. We left the live last night. Me never done a live last night, Rixer B. I never do a live last night. So we're probably mixing me up with somebody else. Yes. So definitely that. Yellow blossoms with green leaf. Yellow blossom with green leaf. With Narine. No, sir, I don't remember you. But yeah. Yeah, Rixabi is trying to get me to remember who he is or she is. But I don't remember who. But anyways, I will follow you and try to see who you are later on. You understand? I'll try to see who you are later on. But yeah, but there are so many things that back then we use, and nowadays they have an ointment for everything. You know, you just walk into the store and you say you want something for blackhead. There is something for blackhead, something for liver spot, you know, something for rash. It's there. So you don't have to find anything nowadays that is outside. That's how the King of the Forest look. Yellow blossom and green leaf. Okay. I mean, I could probably look it up. Probably gonna have to look it up and see. That one. You know, when I talk about the yellow blossom a while ago, even though it's not yellow blossom, you remember this thing that we used to throw on the grass? And it's more like a virus. It take over everything. You remember this thing like when we were in primary school, coming from school, if you want to know if you're in love or something like that, there was this little orange and yellow thing that grows on the tree, and you normally pick off a few. And then love Jojo know it, love bush. Yeah, man, and then you spit on it. You spit on it and you throw it over on the bush, and you'll know if you're in love, because when you come back, if you come back 1 month, well, not necessarily 1 month time, because every day you probably be passing it to go to school or go back home. But if you start grow, you know that you're in love. So you said that a while ago with the yellow blossom. And that come to my mind because I'm remembering it usually grows onto the light wire as well. You know, that thing was just out of control. And if yours just end up growing so wild, and poor us not even really was thinking about the fact that, you know, it's not real like that. But you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so in love. And yes, definitely the love bush. So yeah, but there were so many things. There are so many things back then. So where are you from, Jojo? Where are you from? There's so many things that in the back in the days we normally find use for. But nowadays, like, kids not enjoying anything like that. You know, kids nowadays not really enjoy any of all of those things that we used to do back then, because technology has taken over. Some of them complains the sun too hot, them now walking in no sun, you know, and yeah, the sun hot for real, you know. the sun hot, but a lot of them not doing any of those. Even if it is very cool outside, they're not even going outside again to do anything. They're not going outside to explore and try to, you know, find things to do in nature. Yeah, they're not doing that nowadays. Not doing that. Yesterday was while me playing games outside, my little boy coming to tell me that sun hot. Him sweating. I said, seriously? Seriously, vitamin D is essential. Exactly. I never know that my vitamin D tablets were that important until we get here to the US. Because I don't remember in Jamaica if we used to do that as a part of the annual exam. But me never hear some my vitamin D level low yet because I'm always in the sun. And nowadays, me have to find myself taking supplements for vitamin D because I'm deficient. You understand? And I'm always in the sun, but it's something that a lot of persons here in the States do suffer from. And it's because, as me say, nobody no go outside again. Nobody go outside to enjoy a little bit of nature like that or spend any time walking in the sun. Because if you go outside for 10-15 minutes, we start complaining because the sun hot. And yes, I understand that the sun is hot, but a lot of us not even trying for 30 seconds to see if we can bear it. But then again, you know, some persons start having like sunburn as well. So that's the other part. We have the sun back home. Yeah, because we used to walk to school for hours. You know, back in the days. And it did okay. I never did. It was good. The body can't heal without vitamin D. Definitely. So, you know, almost everybody here is deficient in vitamin D. So, and one way we can fix that is just go outside and spend a few minutes, a few hours in the sun and just make sure that we're getting in that because it's very important. You don't want to be on tablet every day. You don't want to be on pills every day, you know. So just go out and try to change certain things that we're doing and see if that will help with increasing our levels a bit. But the person out there, yeah, it's hot, but you can go out in the early morning and experience some of it. And sometimes in the evening, you can go there and just enjoy it as well. Because yesterday, may I tell you, when I was out there playing badminton yesterday, it has been a while since, you know, I have played any badminton. Because sometimes on Sundays or, you know, I am always just busy. Well, not even, yesterday, not even Sunday. Yesterday was Friday. It feels as though it's a weekend. Yeah, it feels as though it's a weekend. But usually, I will be like tied up doing so many things. Me don't even get a chance to say, okay, then let me go there and play some game. You know, and may I tell you, yesterday I was sweating. Because I was enjoying myself. I never had any care in the world, and the game was just fun. Truth Talker says, I'm not a pill guy. My food and nature is my medicine. Okay, nice. Yeah, so that's just it. I really like the pills. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I was on pills for a little while, and may I tell you, I had to set an alarm to remind me to take my pills. That's how bad it is. I cannot do it. So sometimes I see a lot of persons taking a lot of pills, and may I say, how are we even doing? You know, how are we even doing? Sometimes I see persons with 20 odd different pills taking. And I feel sorry for them. I feel so sorry for them because sometimes I'm saying I cannot even remember to take one pill, much less, you know, finding time to go ahead and get medications for 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the evening, 2 o'clock in the evening. Like, it's just too much. Yeah, so if we can do certain things, and some of the things that we're asking, or some of the things that we're supposed to be doing, you know, it's not anything that is super big, but it's just that, you know, as humans, we tend to do things and not really thinking about, you know, the effects on the body or the effects on us in person in general. You understand? And so we find ourselves later on having to be dealing with all of those, So that's just it. Because if we're eating properly, we're doing the little walks during the daytime or in the evening time, then we can actually limit the amount of like medications that we're taking in on a daily basis. And so, that's just it. So the simplest of things can actually help us with cutting down on our pills. And that's why sometimes, like when I go and see patients and, when it comes on to some of our patients that we see on a daily basis, sometimes, yes, we don't want them to be on so many medications. And sometimes they don't want to get, those blood draw done that frequently, like say every 3 months or every 6 months. Because I like to do blood draw for them, like, at least twice a year, especially if you have a lot of, underlying condition, just to see what your numbers are looking like so I can actually cut down on some of your medications. Because sometimes if you don't do blood work, you have some patients on medications for decades and their labs are looking normal when you could actually give them body a little bit of a break. So when I explain to them that, that when I do see you, I'm going to get your blood test done twice a year for regular, chronic problems. And so, for example, you're diabetic, I'll do it every 3 months. A lot of times I find out that these patients are more willing to do the blood work because they want to be off some of the medication. Because if you can tell them that, if I get your blood test done and I look at your cholesterol level, I can cut down your medication based on the blood result, they're more than likely gonna, push out them arm like this for you to take their blood whenever that lab technician come and see them. But if you don't explain anything to them, they're gonna give you a lot of hard time and they're just gonna be stuck on those medications because you don't have anything to use to tell you or help with determining whether or not you continue with these medications or not. So I feel and that's why my visits tend to be a little bit longer sometimes because my life is sit down and talk with them, explain to them this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what the expectation is, when it comes on to certain conditions, this is how you're going to cut down on your medication, this is how we're going to have a discussion regarding whether or not we're going to stop the medication completely or we're going to keep you on a low dose medication just to kind of help with your body. So if you have a conversation with them, I realize that they're more compliant with certain things, getting the medications, going to the pharmacy, get the medications or taking the medications, because when I tell them, say, this is going to be happening, they're looking forward to it, you understand? Or, they try to see if they can prevent it. And so I feel as though when I go and I sit down and chat with them, and especially like that first visit, and that was it for the last 2 weeks, because I started this new company, I feel as though because they're getting to know me, getting to know me getting to know them. When I go there, I try to just have a conversation. So that way, nobody not call me every second. I try to find out, when we going to get blood tests or when are you going to be coming to see me? They would have already had a discussion with me and I explained to them the expectations moving forward. And it makes my life a little bit easier. Makes my life so much easier when I do that, because the more information I give, the less questions sometimes later on when it comes on to the visit. And it was the same thing in, when I was working in the emergency room. It was always the same thing. I guess, as I say, I think it's more of me putting myself in the patient's shoe. I feel as though if I do certain things, like say, for example, when I go in and see a patient, I may explain to the patient, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is when the results are going to be coming back. I do the test now. 1 hour later, 2 hours later, the results are going to be ready. You're going to be out of the department in 4 hours. I realize that my patients, them not calling me and no call bill. Because them have no reason to call me, because they already know that if blood test is done at 12 o'clock, the next time that the doctor is going to come in and see them is when the results are available, or if something else is going on. So most of the time, they're not going to call me and be like, hey, nurse, I want to know when, when the result is, because, me already tell them and put it on the whiteboard. So I can have a very smooth, shift where none of my patients' call bell is going off around the clock because they want ice water, because everybody come to my emergency room is nothing by mouth. You understand? Because I don't know what is going on. So everybody is gonna be nothing by mouth until it's time for you to go. And you explain that to them understand. Everybody that comes in, you don't need to ask me for a warm blanket, because I know say eventually the AC going to kill you, and so me going to give you a warm blanket. Even when you tell me say no, you don't want it, I am getting you a warm blanket, because I don't want to change your mind later on when I'm busy. So the warm blanket is going to be on your bed, and whenever you're ready, you can pull it up. Everybody is going to get a warm socks. My elderly folks, that is, because I know that eventually them going to get cold. You understand? When it comes on to my elderly persons, everybody go on an incontinent pad, because not all the time I'm going to be able to catch the urine in time. I mean, I really like when I'm there, you pee the bed, and then that is a lot of work for me now to go and change when we have other patients over there, dying that I need to go and resuscitate or something like that. So all of my patients go on an incontinent pad. When it comes on to my confused patient, everybody get a catheter, because I'm not going to be sitting down and waiting for you to tell me when you are wanting to urinate, because we need that urine from like before you arrive, So our patients tend to be well sorted out, because I think straight ahead, like I'm thinking ahead of time, because I don't want it to be a case where after I finish with this patient, the call bell just going off. We don't have time for them stuff there. You understand? I have 4 rooms, I have 4 patients and different things going on. I need to be back and forth. So once I sort you out and you get your call bell, I know definitely the only time I'm hearing it is when there is something going on that probably we never discuss or something else. But my patients, them always, easy going after once I see them. And that is just me all the time, because I think, you must be able to work smart and not too hard, And that's why a lot of persons always asking, why it always seem like your patients, them? I said, when I go in the room one time, I sort out everything for that patient. You understand? Because I just feel as though once I'm finished, the only thing I need to be going in there is like when I'm doing my check-in to say, okay, how are you doing? And if you're having pain, not to bring any food, but just to wait on your results. You understand? And it's the same thing for the other patients. So preparation is key, is very, very important for me when it comes on to these patients working in the emergency room, and educating them is very, very important, because I just feel as though the more information you give, the better it is for you as the nurse caring for them, and it just makes your life easier. Yeah. Oh, I think I'm going to do a live where I talk about preparation, like when I go in as a nurse, if a patient is coming in and they are confused. Because, for example, when I'm working in the emergency room and I have a patient, so for example, the ambulance calls in and they say that they have a patient coming in. Some persons might just go ahead and say, okay, the ambulance is coming in with a patient, a female patient, short of breath, and they're 10 minutes out. They might work with that, but for me, I'm working with the female coming in, short of breath. How old is that person? Because that is very important, because I want to know how to go ahead and plan for this patient. So if it is a shorter breath, 30-odd-year-old, that's not too bad. But if it's a shorter breath, 60-odd, 70-odd-year-old, that is a total different ball game. You understand? Because sometimes these elderly folks can't do anything, and you're anticipating a total different workup for that patient. So you might find out that I might go ahead and start doing preparation for, a sepsis workup for that patient just because of the shortness of breath. I'm going to do like my precautions, because I don't know if this person has flu, if this person has COVID, and we always plan for the worst. So I'm planning for a sepsis patient, a sepsis workout. And in my mind, once I hear shortness of breath and you're thinking about, the hospital, you're thinking about what's going on, you're always thinking about sepsis. And there are certain things that are standard of practice when it comes on to the care of these patients. So when I find out the age and whether or not the patient is alert, those things I'm using to help with my, what we call differential diagnosis, trying to figure out, okay, then a patient comes in with shortness of breath. What is it that is going on with this patient? Is it just something like, respiratory? Why is it something that is cardiac wise? And from there, I'm going to say, okay, then this is what I need at the bedside. This is what I'm going to be doing. So by the time the patient gets there, if it's an elderly person, hi, Alexander, hola. If it's an elderly person, then definitely my bed is shortness of breath my mother had a few years ago, but it's fixed within a few hours. Okay, nice. I do Airbnb. Okay, thank you, Alexander. So if it's elderly person who is short of breath, then definitely my bed is already prepared for somebody for shortness of breath who is an elderly, because a shortness of breath, I'm gonna need a urine. I'm gonna need, because more than likely we're doing a sepsis workup to see why that patient is having shortness of breath. Is it from an infection? Is it from like an infection? So you definitely always think about the worst case scenario when you're thinking about working in the emergency room. And so my patient is going to have the incontinent pad, because I'm thinking it's an elderly person. They're going to pee whenever they feel like. So I'm going to have to go ahead and change the bed linen. So to try and prevent that, I go ahead, put the incontinent pad on, so that way I can always just roll that incontinent pad and replace it after I clean up the patient. Then the other thing I definitely do is I get a external catheter. So we have something called like a PureWick catheter. I am from Jamaica, like a PureWick, which is like an external catheter for the female. And I'll also go ahead, as I said, the age is very important and the sex is very important, because if I'm able to tell, what's going on, then I'll be able to plan for that patient. So if it's a shorter breath, they're confused, then definitely I'm going to go ahead and get a urine. And for me, when it comes on to any elderly person, I tend to always try to get a sterile urine sample, because you're confused. So I'm not gonna sit down and wait for you to get that urine for me, or tell me when you're ready to pee. And because we know it's very important in the management of what's going on with you. So definitely I will go ahead and always straight cath that patient, or I'll leave the catheter in, because sometimes, if they're confused, they're short of breath, sometimes the blood pressure is too low. So you're always having to give them a lot of fluids to resuscitate them. So I leave the catheter in. If the doctor changes his mind and say, oh, we don't want the catheter, or they say in and out catheter, for me, I always say you have to work smart. So if it's an in and out catheter and the person is elderly, they're getting an indwelling catheter, because at least for my shift, I don't see the difference. Well, sometimes it makes, when it comes on to the cost, it might cost the patient a little bit more, but I just feel as though in terms of if you leave the catheter in for the patient, if the patient is going to be peeing every second, that's just going to be too much for the patient, because you're thinking about, okay, and sometimes depending on the patient's size, you might find out that those patients are left in their urine until you can find somebody else to get them changed off, because sometimes you're alone and God can't really move some of these patients, you understand? So if I see an order for a urine, or if I know definitely that I need a urine, I'm going to go ahead and just get that catheter in. And if they say it's an in and out, me I go ahead and take it out at the end of my shift if the nurse doesn't want to continue with it. Or most of the time you will find out that the doctors will go ahead and just put in for the indwelling catheter. But I'm not the kind of person that is going to do an indwelling catheter or in and out catheter rather, for a patient that is confused or meets the criteria for sepsis, because sometimes along the way you might find out those sepsis patients' blood pressure might go too low, and you have to be monitoring their output. So I normally just go ahead and leave it in. Then I will go ahead and still prep for, I'll have my warm blanket. I'll always change off my patients in gown, because for me, it's just easier access than to be trying to go underneath, to try and figure out where under the brassiere and all them stuff there to put, those cardiac monitor leads. I don't have time for that. So I definitely like to change off my patients in their gown. And then sometimes you might find out that some patients do come in and some patients do come in, and because, depending on where they're coming from, some are coming from home, and you'll hear me talk about bed bugs and them stuff there, because those are things that me not really like. Bed bugs, scabies, lice, them stuff there, me not really like it. So a lot of times I definitely, all of my patients, once they're not walkie-talkie, I'm gonna go ahead and change them off into, a hospital gown. Brassiere off, everything, underwear off, put in a bag, lock it up, put it in a corner, and it stays there until it's time, to go somewhere else. Yes, I do. I do. So I definitely go ahead and do that because it makes my life easier. And it also makes the patient a little bit more comfortable, because when it comes on to getting like your EKGs done, putting on the cardiac monitor, you won't have to be like, as I say, pulling underneath and trying to go under blows. Me hate it. Me can't deal with it. It's just too much. It's just too much. I just feel as though it makes my life easier and it makes the patient a little bit comfortable. Because sometimes these patients come in with like vomit and all them stuff there on them clothes. I don't really understand how some nurses do it, but me can't do it. Me can't tolerate it. Me can't tolerate it. So I definitely, if it means that I have to cut it off, I cut it off when it's warranted, but I don't do that. So they're always going to be in their gown, and they're connected to the cardiac monitor. Then I go on to my IV. Whenever they're confused, they're always going to be getting a very large IV. Doesn't always have to be, a very, very large, like 16, but at least a 18. And they're going to get one in the AC or upper, as long as I can find it. If they're dying and I can't find anything, wherever the IV is, wherever I can put it, I'm going to put it there. Even if I'm not going to be able to get any blood at that time, I'll definitely just go ahead and put the IV there. If it means I'm going to put it in their toe or in their ankle, anywhere it can be placed, their breasts, just because I'm thinking about the fact that if this patient needs to code, at least we have somewhere we can put a little epinephrine. That's it. You understand? The blood can always come after. We'll figure out where we get the IV, or we put in a central line or whatever it is, and that's it. But I always try to see if I can get at least one little line in, because that is the line to saving the patient. So I'll do that. They'll get their IVs. And then, as I said, because it's a shortness of breath or it's a confused patient, then definitely they're going to be getting the rainbow color for the blood work. They're always going to get the rainbow color. And I always go ahead and get a lactic acid. So there's one that we put on ice as well, or two that we put on ice, depending on facility. So I always bring ice into the room. And as I said, these are all the things I'm thinking about before the patient gets into the room, because I have a few things that I'm working with. I'm working with an elderly person. I'm working with the shortness of breath. So I'm working with differential diagnosis in my mind and just planning my room in the meantime. I also go ahead. Well, I always check my rooms just to make sure that my oxygen, my wall oxygen is working. Because the last thing you want is to have a patient in your room and your wall oxygen not working, your suction not working, because that is going to be awful. So I always check those in the morning just to make sure they're working, and always have an ambu bag. And I also do blood cultures on those patients. And because the shortness of breath, definitely, I will, as I say, do precautions for COVID during this time, because the last thing I want to do is go ahead and tickle somebody's nose for COVID or flu, and the person starts sneeze, you're not wearing a mask, and when you look, the COVID results come back positive, you get COVID, you out of a job for a few minutes or a few days, and that is it. You understand? So I always go ahead and do COVID swabs and make sure I'm protecting myself. Best way for your tools are working. Exactly. If your tools them now work, yeah. So that's why I don't really understand. Sometimes you might find some persons will go in and they just go to the nurse's station, sit down, and that's it. Them start them shift. That's not me. Every single room I'm going in, and I'm making sure that the ones that I'm assigned to, they're well stocked out with things that I use on a daily basis. And even though sometimes the shift might be busy, I still find time to go ahead and check those, because as me say, if you have certain things in your room not working and you're not able to locate where those are, the working ones are, then your department can be a shit show, like language, sorry. Your department can be a, a wreck. So you have to be very, very careful and just take the time out and check for those. Then the other thing I always do is I'm going to prime the line. Not all the time. I prime the line when it comes down to shortness of breath, because you might have a patient coming in with shortness of breath that is having heart failure. So for those patients, not all the time. If it's probably like a young person, sometimes I might prime the line if it's somebody that I am familiar with. But most of the time, I won't prime the line for shortness of breath, because you don't want to be giving those persons too much fluids if it is something related to a heart failure. And sometimes you might, when you're there and you assess the patient, when the patient comes, then you realize that, the blood pressure is low, but you might look on the patient's ankle and you realize that, this ankle just swollen, them seeping water. When you press down on it, it is indented and all. So you can always tell that they're having too much fluid. So, definitely you're going to wipe the fluids off the list of things that you're going to be giving them. But sometimes they might end up giving a little fluids because the patient's blood pressure is just too low, or there's so many other things going on that might warrant them just getting even 100 mils of fluid just to kind of help with bumping up their blood pressure. But then you might realize we might go back and give you a medication to pull back some of that fluid. So it's always, you just have to kind of think about the what's happening and then what the doctor orders and all them stuff there. Then what else I normally do for that patient? And as I said, a warm blanket, still give them a warm blanket, get that in the room. But definitely, all of those are things that I put in place until the patient comes in. And I'll always have my EKG machine. As long as it's not, in use somewhere else, I'll always have my EKG machine there. Because the shortness of breath can be caused by something cardiac, and sometimes you might have the patient's heart rate just too high. You want to see what exactly is going on. So definitely you go in, you ride, you whistle, and do all of those things at the same time. But because I'm so prepared with a lot of things there, it makes my life a little bit easier. And then the other thing, when the ambulance service, the paramedics do show up with the patient, if it is a place where it's always busy, I use the paramedics to help me with getting those patients settled. Because while they're transferring the patient, I am there asking questions, and may I try record most important things in my mind, like, as a part of my my triage, because sometimes you might not have a triage nurse. So I try to just go ahead and be asking them information, but I always write down the time that the ambulance show up. So even though, I might be there with the patient for like the 10, 15, 20 minutes, I'm there and I write down the time that the ambulance does show up. Because when I'm doing my triage, I'm going to put the time that the ambulance does show up. I'm not going to do the time that I'm actually charting, because that's not the time that the patient does show up. So if they showed up 30 minutes ago, that's the time I'm going to be putting down. And then I'll put in my triage. But while I have my paramedics there, and all of the paramedics tend to always, they always smile when I do ask them, because I tell them, say, look, I'm here alone there. And they don't have any problem. They don't have any problem with me asking, because sometimes we don't have any CNAs, or sometimes we might not have any LPN. You don't have any assistant. And if they do bring the patient, them already know what's going on with the patient. So when I tell you, because my bed is already prepared, when I have my patients come on, I'm asking them to help me to go ahead and either cut off the clothes, roll them over, take off underwear, take off everything, put on a gown, and then me good. Once the patient is out of their, their clothing and is in their birth suit, me good. Me not need no help from anybody else. Well, me need help, but me I talk about. Because it's always harder to do those. So when I'm finished, then I kind of just get into it. So I'm put on my blood pressure machine, the machine, and it's, getting the cuff, and I'm getting my blood pressure going. Depending on what they give you in the vital signs, you'll know which direction to go. Because most of the time, these patients would have already come in with an EKG done. They already have vital signs, that you can work with to say, okay, then the blood pressure is very low. And then you can use the information that they're giving you in the report from the ambulance to decide, okay, then do I jump on to getting an EKG, or do I jump on to getting an IV? Because if the patient don't have any blood pressure, you're going to have to what? Go ahead and get an IV, because you need to start getting fluids going. If the patient EKG showing like a STEMI, you want to jump on to getting an EKG because you want to know whether or not this patient is going to go to the cath lab. You know, that's so you're going to have to use the information that you're getting from them. So if you are a quick person in terms of, you know, if you're a critical thinker and you're thinking about all the different things, you will know which direction. So even if you're alone as a nurse, you'll be able to say, okay, then this is what I'm going to do. But because you already prepare for your patient, even though you never really know what's a nurse, you'll be able to say, okay, then this is what I'm going to do. But because you already prepare for your patient, even though you never really know what exactly is going on in detail, you already know that it is this age group. This is what is going on. You have everything in your room set up. So you realize that after the drop off the patient and you get your patient out of that, street clothing, it's so much easier for you to go ahead and take care of your patient. Because as I say, you just work with the information that they're giving you. Because sometimes the ride might be like, say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's less, but they're able to get blood pressure. They're able to tell you the glucose. So if they say, oh, glucose is very low, patient is confused, or the patient is altered, then definitely, more than likely, they would have an IV. You can always work with IV to do whatever medications, blood draw. And it's just for you now to go ahead and do the additional parts. Sometimes you might find out that you might not do the vital signs exactly when they get into the room because you might be focused on getting that EKG because, especially because the ambulance is moving. And if it's a case where they say that the EKG looks abnormal, you have to think about the fact that the body was moving and all of those artifacts that can cause the EKG to look abnormal. And you don't want to go ahead and activate for a cath lab or anything like that. And you don't have an EKG that is done in a relaxed position. Let's just say you don't have that much movement going on of the body. So you definitely want to go ahead and jump on to getting your EKG in that 10 minutes time period of the patient being in the department. And then from there, you can make a decision. Okay, then is the EKG abnormal where the patient needs to go to the cath lab? Or it's the case where it is normal, where you can just continue with the regular flow of getting things done for that patient. So basically, that's just how I do it. And so by the time you finish, by the time the doctor put in all the orders, you're already done with your patient because you already get your blood already labeled and sent off to the lab. You already get your EKG in the 10 minutes time period. Your patient is comfortable. You already put in your catheter. So the doctor is not going to be like, hey, Stacy, I need that urine. Hey, Stacy. Not really like nobody bother me like that at work. So we try to get those out of the way. Me already know when it's time to go ahead and do the second test for the troponin for the heart because you're going to do a second troponin on the heart, for the test, for the heart itself. Because with the shortness of breath, we want to make sure it's not related to the heart. So you might find out that we're doing those second tests to look at those heart enzymes. And it's the same thing for your lactic acid where we're looking at the infection. If this patient is sepsis, we definitely want to look at the lactic acid to make sure that. So all of those things already done, send off to the lab. If you are one of those persons that are thinking ahead, let's just say if you're one of those smart nurses, proactive nurse, and you understand the plan of care for patients without even seeing the orders, because there are certain things that are standard, standard things. You have some doctors who will do the shortcut way. You have some persons who will do the shortcut way. Some doctors will forget, to enter the orders, or sometimes the order set doesn't always come with certain things. But as, the doctors are dealing with so many things. They're dealing with so many things. And so the doctors are dealing with so many things. And so sometimes, they might forget one and two things, even though, things they know they're not supposed to forget. But we're all humans, you understand? And that's how we come into, play as well. As professional nurses, we were trained. So you understand the pathophysiology. You understand what, to expect with certain things. You understand the plan. You were taught the plan and the basic things that you're supposed to do for patients under certain conditions. So it's our responsibility, or I feel as though it's my responsibility when I get my 4 patients assigned or the 4 room, it's my responsibility to go ahead and say, hey, doc, you know, we have this patient who has a fever, the patient has, you know, other symptoms. The patient is tachycardic, the patient is tachypneic, or the patient has a high heart rate, or the patient is breathing too fast. It's your responsibility as a nurse, or my responsibility as a nurse, to say, hey, we need to get the lactic acid. You didn't put in the order. And when you say to the doctors, I'm not really, I hear people talk about where doctors say, you know, they're not going to do this or whatever. But a lot of times, I guess it depends on the kind of nurse you are. If you are the kind that, you know, because, you know, sometimes people do things and one person might just be petty about it. And so you probably go at a time when it's very serious to discuss certain things, and the other person just kind of, yeah, they kind of just push you off. So I think if you're not the kind of person who is very strong, you will realize that some providers will not listen to you that much. They will not take you that serious. Or, you know, sometimes we call the doctor about everything when you could actually just fix one thing. So sometimes you probably go to the doctor and the doctor just kind of, you know, fan you off or something. So I don't know. But a lot of times if I realize that some of the things are not there, me definitely going to tell the doctor, this is what we need to, you know, get done. Or sometimes you might have where it depends on the doctor that you're working with. You can actually just go ahead and put in the standing order. Some of the doctors are fine with it if they are comfortable with you, if they know you, if they've been working with you for a while. You just go ahead and put in the order. So I usually just go ahead, put in those orders with the doctors that I'm very, very comfortable with, because them know by the time you look 1 hour time, the patient's results are in and we're ready to disband that patient. Because one thing I don't like is to have a patient hanging out with for, not so really, I don't really like hanging out with a patient, but we never really come to work for have one patient sitting down looking at and you looking at me and you asking me for the sandwich and all them stuff there for the entire day. I don't have time for that. I just feel as though you come, you're sick, I take care of you, and we transition. If you need to be admitted, if you need to be discharged, wherever you need to go, in 1 to 2 hours, I feel that it's my responsibility to get you to that place. And that's just how I go about when it comes on to working in the emergency room. Me not, you know, the long thing with, you know, me not this long thing with no patient lie down in a no bed for 4 hours, 6 hours looking at me, and we're waiting on one little urine, or we're waiting on the troponin, we're waiting on the lactic acid, because you're not keeping track of the time that you're supposed to go ahead and do that. And that's why I always say, you know, I always have my little notepad, because even though I have a rough estimate, and I'm always looking at those things, because as I say, I don't really like when patients are in my room for too long. I like to have good turnover of my patients. So even though it might be a case where I'm busy, but I'm not sitting down with one patient for the entire day. So I always have my notepad that I use to keep track of certain things, especially when the patients are very, very sick. Because if you have 3 ICU patients dealing with, you want to make sure you're not missing anything. You want to be on top of things when it comes on to getting those repeat vital signs, you know, those repeat blood work, all of those things, you know, new orders for certain things. Then I have my little notepad that I'm doing that. And I just feel as though if you spend less time with your patient, you might not be that, you know, busy for the rest of the day. Once you're able to get things going, you're not going to be that busy, because, you know, family members are not going to be calling you every second to find out what is going on, you know. So it just works out in my favor. Notes are great. Yes, it is. It is. So that's just how I do it. And yeah, sometimes I'm tired, but just a part of the work, you know, just a part of the work. But yeah, so if you're a nurse and you are one of those persons who are a little bit hesitant and you're not so sure about, you know, how you go about with certain things, just make sure you're reading up on the most common things that we see, like in your department, the emergency room, on the med-surg floor, and the things that, you know, you're expected to do as a nurse. And as I say, not all the time the doctors will put in the orders, but it's your responsibility to find out. Even if you see that the patient is overloaded with fluid and the doctor don't order any fluid, just find out from the doctor. Even though you know, yes, the patient don't need the fluid, just find out from the doctor. Doc, what is going on? Because sometimes these patients, their lactic acid is so high, they might benefit from a little bit of a fluid to bring that down, and then you can always go ahead and diurese them. So you can always still talk to the doctor, and then you guys can sit down and discuss. Sometimes the doctors are nice where they go ahead and ask you your opinion regarding, you know, so you feel as though you're actually taking care of your patient. So go ahead and talk with them give them, you know, an insight. If you feel as though the patient would benefit from this, say to them, you understand? Say to them, and that will just make, you know, your life easier, the patient, the outcome for the patient a little bit better. And at least you'll feel a little bit more comfortable with the care that you're giving. So go ahead and find out, you know, what is best practice for these conditions, and just go out and advocate for your patient, and yeah, do your thing. But the most important thing is communication. You understand? Communication with you and your other colleagues, as well as with the patients. And that's all I can say regarding that. I take a lot of notes on my job. Okay, nice. Yeah, thank you, Cher, for the likes. Thank you so much for doing that. And as I say, it's the same thing when it comes on to like your other conditions, depending on what is going on. It's the same thing, the same approach I use, you understand? But especially with the confused patients and the altered patients, those are things that, you know, because when you talk about sepsis, pneumonia, all of those things, you want to make sure you're not missing anything on those patients, because it's very, very important that you find the source of that infection, or else the patient is still going to be just confused if it is caused by like an infection. So just make sure, you know, you go with a plan in mind. Go with a plan in mind, and just give the best care. But I just feel as though, you know, I always say it's my preparation from Jamaica that does help me in this kind of setting. Because in Jamaica, as I said before in another live, we don't really have ambulances prepping no patient, taking care of no patient, you know, prior to them coming to the hospital. It's more of, you hear that there's a truck that overturned, and you hear that there's a patient in a van back outside. You hear that there's a mother outside in a car having a baby. What you gonna do? You can't call 911, or you can't call and say, hey, there's a, you know, you just have to go out there and do what you can at the time. So you're always thinking ahead, you're always prepping for the what ifs, because we know, so we don't have no space, or we know that the patients, when they're coming in, most of the time are like, you know, a lot of trauma. So you always have to be like scanning your 20 beds you have in the emergency room and saying, okay, then who is going to be fitting to get into a wheelchair? Who is going to be fitting to go and sit on a bench in order to get one stretcher or two stretcher available? Because when you hear that there's somebody in a van back or a car back outside that needs resuscitation, you're going to have to get that patient out of the vehicle and get them into the emergency room. So I guess with that kind of mindset, I'm always like, my antennas are always just up. You understand? See, just thinking about, okay, then if there are 4 rooms I'm assigned to, I need one of my rooms to be free. Because some hospitals you might go to, you might just hear that they're taking your patient out of the room. You understand? They just realize that the patient missing off of the board because they need a bed. So I always just be thinking that, okay, then if I can prevent that from happening, and then trying to figure out where my patient is that I'm assigned to, that is no longer here, then if I am able to get my orders done, you know, for the patients in time, get that patient out of the room, I'm always going to be one step ahead with a patient through the door. You understand? In terms of the patient is going to be admitted or if the patient is going to be discharged, because me already done with the plan of care for that patient. You understand? The emergency care for that patient. So if there is any patient that is coming in, most of the time they always land in my room, because them always know that me one step ahead. You understand? So it's good and bad at the same time, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Sometimes I listen to some doctor and nurses in Africa. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Jamaica really prepare you for your job. Definitely. So that's just it. But as I say, preparation is key, and you just being critical, you just being you're just advocating for your patients and speaking out. You understand? Talk up for your patient, talk up to your doctor. When they're missing something, don't feel as though you and your little RN, your little registered nursing license, you can't talk to the doctors them, or the doctors them, you know, sitting on this high, what you call it now, this high horse, and you can't say anything to them. No, man, go over there and say to them, because you are a part of the care of the patient. You understand? You're a part of the team. And if you feel as though there's something that you can say and do for your patient, go ahead and say it, say it. The other thing I never really make mention of is that, sometimes when you do say certain things to your doctor, if you communicate to your doctor, I always just go ahead and write it down. Not saying I'm not trust anybody, but I'm my license, and I don't want it to be a case where if something does happen, you hear that, oh, well, you were the nurse as well. Because most of the time in the hospitals, you know who they're going to blame? If something do happen, sad to say, the nurse always get blamed, because doctor's position apparently hard to get filled. Nurse's position, you just need to just sneeze one day. You understand? Through the door, because them have a lot of nurses line up. And it's so much easier to fill those positions than a doctor's position. So I always, if I, feel as though, the patient needed a little fluid, and even though the patient is a heart failure patient and we are saying that we're doing the sepsis workup, I always just go ahead and document that IV fluids deferred at this time due to reports from doctor, patient is a heart failure patient. That alone is good enough to say you can't give the patient too much fluid, and the fact that you advocated on behalf of your patient to say that they needed a little fluid. Because as I said, there are so many things that could be going on why you think that the patient would have benefited, and you know that definitely as a part of the protocol for sepsis workup, fluid is a part of it. And you don't want it to be said that, well, if the patient did get 50 mils of fluid, the patient would have survived. Or if the patient had gotten 100 mils of fluid, the patient would have survived. No. At least just put that little note in to say that you communicated with the doctors. Some doctors will tell you that they will put in the order. And if they do put in the order, just go ahead and put a little comment. Because there's always a little comment that you can put in. You can always put it in the order itself. Fluid not given because the patient, heart rate or whatever it is you want to put as a comment. Go ahead and just put it in the comment section and sign it off. So that way they know that at this time the fluid was ordered, but it wasn't given because the doctor said that the patient have heart failure. And you can also go ahead and just put 1 and 2 little additional things. You can say that you hear crackles in the lungs. You can say that you see swelling in the lower extremities. Additional information just to make sure that years later on, months later on, when they say, oh, so I never give this fluid, you can say, oh, the patient had crackles and the patient had edema. So I never go ahead and give it because you didn't want to overload the patient. You never want to drown the patient anymore. You understand? So that is good enough information. And then but always go ahead and just make sure you're documenting whatever it is that you communicated. If it is a case where you said to the doctor again, the lactic acid was this, and the doctor don't want to put in the second lactic acid, because sometimes we're very smart, we're very smart sometimes. So we tend to not do certain things. So if the doctor says, I don't want the second lactic acid, but you know that the protocol is because the first lactic acid was elevated, go ahead and just put in, say, the same thing. Second lactic acid due at this time, deferred by doctor, and you're done. You don't need to say anything else. And just put the little doctor's name. Because there are certain things that he will get ding on. Sometimes I put a little note with the doctor's name. I'm not the kind of person who likes to put in a name of a nurse or a doctor or a tech, but it depends on what it is that I am documenting. Sometimes it warrants a name. You understand? Sometimes it warrants a name, especially if I know that it is something very serious. I will definitely go ahead and put in that I spoke with this doctor, or I got the report from this nurse. Especially sometimes when you go in and you get a report from a nurse and you realize that the patient is a hot mess. Yeah, man. So I just put in the time when I get report from you, because I try make sure that the time that I accept care until the end of my shift, we have a clear, representation of what I did and how the patient looks. Because when I see the report when I get the report and what I am seeing in the room, it's totally different from, my assessment. I'm gonna make sure, say, at this time I get the report from Stacy, and that's it. And I will just do a brief, a brief note. And it's the same thing like, if your department is so busy, I always try to go ahead and do a brief, as I said, the same little notepad. But just go ahead and write down my little notes. So when I get report from you, come and love write, because I'm used to paper charting. So I come in the room with you. Not all the time I do a a bedside report, but it is encouraged. It's always nice to get your bedside report because you're able to see the patient is able to hear the nurse, the report, and so them sometimes can say, no, that never happened. You know them way there, but sometimes we don't really like it. But definitely, it's always good to get bedside report because it involves everybody and everybody can be on the same page. But especially when it comes on to, if you look on the board and you realize that your patients are what we call them a priority 1, 2, and they're of a certain age, and then, you know, sometimes you're getting some report from some nurses or some providers and it just seems as though the report not really match up with the acuity and the age. So you just say, let us just go to the bedside. Let's just go to the bedside and give me the report here. Just take it at the bedside so you can actually see what they're talking about. You understand? See, and you can be there doing your little thing at the same time. They say, oh, the heart rate is whatever. You look on the heart rate, you look on the blood pressure. The patient is awake and alert. You can check to see if that is going on because you don't want to miss anything. If there is something that needs to be addressed, it's the same thing. You try to find out, you know, did the nurse talk with the doctor? Because the worst thing you want, you know, to happen to you as the nurse is you just get your shift change and there is something that was a problem donkey years ago during the shift before, and then it becomes your problem at the start of the shift. You know whose head is gonna be eaten off by that doctor when you call to say, hey doc, you know that the patient, you know, blood pressure is low. Who is gonna get it on the phone? Yeah, man, you don't want that. So if it is another shift's problem, me love to have that nurse address it. When it comes on to my time, when I have my issues going on, if the doctor need to eat off my head during them time there for something that I did, me let him eat it off. You understand? But I'm not going to let a doctor shout at me over another person's problem that should have been addressed prior to. So if I realize that's the situation, the name, not the name, but the age, the condition, what they're being treated for, and if I see that there's a lot of orders that seem as though it's not done yet, it's pending. Yes, nurse, before you go, I'm going to ask you if you sign off on those things. And it's okay to ask them to do it. They always say nursing care continues, but it depends. For me, it's a little bit different. Nursing care continues with certain things. When you have medications due from 4 hours ago, that the nursing care did not continue with me. It continues with, you know, you finishing up before you go. So you're going to sit down and find out the time that you should have signed off on it. Make sure you sign off on it, because I'm not going to sign off on something 4 hours later because you failed to do it. So you can finish up your notes. And if it's a case where you leave before, I am in the practice of, I will go ahead and sign off on behalf of, and I'm going to put your name there. So that's how I say, when it comes on to certain things, I will definitely put your name there because, yeah. And when I'm signing off, I'm going to sign off at the time when I got report. So patient was handed off or the report was received and the medication was due, not given by previous RN X, and then I sign off on it. And that's it. Then I will go ahead and do my thing from there. But I'm not going to do anything regarding like something that you needed to get done at, you know, specific time during your shift when I know it was, you had adequate timing to do it. You understand? You had adequate timing to do it, so you could have done it during that time. I'm not going to take on your responsibility. So I will definitely go ahead and document like that, especially the medications. If it comes on to like certain little orders, you know, like your blood draw, your repeat blood draw, and so then that's a little bit different. You know, I will just still go ahead and draw it at whatever time. But when it comes on to certain medications or things to get done, if you needed to talk to a doctor, call a doctor and tell the doctor about the heart rate, the blood pressure, then I'm going to have you do that before. Because as I say, nobody wants at the end of your shift for you to be calling them to tell them, or at the start of their shift, especially when these doctors are coming on and they know nothing about the patient. You understand? They don't know anything about the patient, and then you're gonna have to call them to tell them that this is going on with this patient. Nobody wants that. Me don't want it. So yeah, that's just it. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Lati, you're here. Welcome. Loverboy Wheezy and Truth Talker, thank you so much for tuning in. Shed Rock Things, welcome. San Antonio or Santonia Hunter, RN Tantan, welcome. Oh, remember to go ahead and big up the live, you know, not to touch my nose, that them say. Yeah, I'm a TikTok coach. Said to touch my nose. But yeah, so that's just it. But as I say, preparation is very, very important. Preparation is very, very important when you're working as a nurse, and in every area as well. It's very, very important. But for me, that's just how I stay organized at work. And it's the same thing in house call as well. You know, I try to make sure that I stay organized with house call when I go out to see those patients. Yeah. I love to hear about medicine. Okay, nice, nice. Did you want to do medicine when you were younger, Truth Talker? Or you had an interest in that area? Mitchie, welcome. Mitchie Bo, welcome, welcome. Yeah, the thing is, I love what I do. I love what I do. And I love when I go out and I can, you know, even though sometimes, you know, knock on wood, sometimes the patients do pass. But I don't want it to be a case where it's something that, you know, I could have done something for that patient. You know, even though probably, yes, the prognosis wasn't good. But at least I feel more comfortable knowing that I go above and beyond to get certain things done on behalf of my patient. So that's just it. That is just it. But the only thing is, like, you know, as I said, sometimes, and that's why sometimes I kind of worry. I'm worried about, you know, with everything that is going on in healthcare now, because a lot of times we have so many patients coming in who don't have insurance. You understand? They don't have insurance, and the hospitals still take care of them because of the EMTALA, you know, the EMTALA law, which allows for hospitals to take care of these patients regardless of what is happening. So I always talk about the corn and the toe. Yeah, man. So some people might come in and they have corn on the toe and they feel as though it's an emergency. They might have, you know, sunburn. Some persons might have different things, some simple things, and they feel as though it's an emergency. And to them, it's an emergency. So they show up to the hospital to get care. But no, with the fact that you have all of these things happening with Medicaid or Medicare, hospitals are not going to be in a position, because of all of the reimbursements that they normally would get from these patients that are coming in because of those law that you have, the EMTALA law, which basically say everybody coming in, whatever it is, you have to provide care for them. And so hospitals usually will look forward to those reimbursements. That helps with the hospital itself. So just to think of it where, you know, you're gonna have a cut down, or if they're gonna slash the whole Medicare, you know, for patients, certain patients, and a lot of persons are not gonna have those insurances to get the care that they would normally do at certain, like, you know, probably not necessarily urgent care, but probably with their primary care provider or other facilities. You're going to realize that these patients are going to be coming in so sick. And it's just going to be more work for the nurses. It's going to be more work for nurses. Nurses are going to be burned out a little bit more. You know, you're going to have understaffing, let's just say. You're going to have a lot of understaffing for hospitals. You're going to have some communities that usually will have like one or two little, you know, hospitals, or even some of those rural communities that would have one hospital. No, it's going to be difficult for some of our patients, you know, when it comes on to getting care. And so I think the care is going to be not so much up to standard anymore, let's just say, because short staff, people are just going to be too tired. You understand? You have overcrowding going on. No, you're going to have probably some facilities are going to decide on whether or not this patient is going to get an EKG. You understand? They're going to have to prioritize who they're going to probably get some of the certain testing done to. I think a lot of places probably going to start functioning like how, you know, some of the private, like not the freestanding facilities, where if some persons don't have insurance, they can't go to them, you know, them way there. I just feel as though that's how it's gonna be, or that's the direction it's gonna be heading into for a lot of patients. And so I don't think a lot of patients are gonna get the care anymore. You understand? So even though you might have nurses probably wanting to take care of their patient, I just feel as though because of this, all of this, it's gonna just trickle down and affect those patients that cannot afford it. Yeah, you can't afford it. So hospital going to seem as though it's for the rich or for persons who have good insurance. Because I remember when I just moved here to the States, well, it wasn't at the same, not like immediately, but at the time when I was gonna have my baby. And I remember I was seeing my OBGYN, and he wanted me to get a prescription for something. And at that time I was on a contract with a recruiting company. And he went ahead and asked me to get something, but my insurance didn't, approve it. I never thought that I needed it at the time. So I went to him and I said, oh, they never approve it. I wanted to know if there was an alternative to, what he wanted me to get. I was like, no, it's okay. We only said that you could have gotten it because you have good insurance. Somebody told me, I said, what do you mean by good insurance? Never really understand. And then, when I asked what do they mean by good insurance, they were like, yeah, some insurance will go ahead and cover certain high-end medication. And then if you're on like Medicare, or Medicaid, then definitely you're going to be getting certain medication. And it was at that time I was like, oh, so basically if you're poor in America, now work out for you. You understand? If you don't have insurance or good insurance, it's not going to work out for you. Dog, give me a supper. You understand? It was at that time I really see how it, it actually is for persons here. And it was the same thing when I started working at the hospital. Like certain persons will definitely go ahead and get certain testing done. Is the same chest pain you work up, but you will realize that depending on the insurance. And at that time I wasn't, I don't feel it's my responsibility to be looking at insurance. I mean, I have no business with insurance when it comes down to me working as a nurse, except whenever I was working like in a freestanding. And that's why I never really like it when I was working in the freestanding, because you have to find out what kind of insurance a patient have before you can get certain EKG done. Never really like it. But it was at that time I realized that, some persons will be there for the same thing and them look just the same. But you realize that this one will get the CT scan done and this one don't get the CT scan. Oh, because them have a bill. You understand, them owe a bill, so they can't get the CT scan. So I say, oh, okay, this not look good. You understand? And then when I started working a freestanding, years later, it was almost the same thing. Like the patient coming with chest pain, obvious sign of a heart attack, and it was just the same thing. You'll hear them say, well, this is just a courtesy visit. You understand? It's just a courtesy visit. They're gonna do the workup today. And when you think that they're doing a workup, where you're thinking about, just like when you're in the hospital, they're going to be doing the EKG, chest x-ray, the blood work, and you're getting your rainbow and all of them stuff there. And then they said, no. The courtesy visit is we give you one EKG and that's it. You understand? We do the EKG, you're not getting any blood work, because me with my enough self, because me feel like me proactive and me want to give the best care, I decided to go ahead now and jump on in with my nice little tray that they provide you with in the emergency room. And feel like, okay, I'm going to get the EKG machine, I'm going to get the blood work and everything, get the patient connected to the cardiac monitor. No, you're not put them on the cardiac monitor, because you're just going to do the EKG and then you're going to call to transfer the patient to the hospital. You understand? So you do the EKG. If the EKG looks normal, which most of the time, sometimes these patients' EKG will come back normal, not show anything to say that they're having a heart attack, that's it. You just send them to another facility if they can afford it. But otherwise, they're not doing anything. And then you have to remember that these hospitals or these freestanding facilities don't go by the same EMTALA. The EMTALA law, which allows for hospitals to, take care of you when you show up for your problem. So it's just the same thing there. You go there. Well, it's not the same thing there. You go there. They do the EKG. Whether or not you can, afford the trip over to the hospital, or whether or not you have insurance or whatever the situation is, they don't have a guideline that they're working with. So you find out that it's like them not care. You understand? And that's why I always tell people, in as much as yes, hospitals are, in as much as hospitals, sometimes we hate hospitals so much, and we just feel like the wait time is just long, or just longer than usual. If you have the time, or depending on what is going on, just find yourself to the real hospital. I want to say real hospital because these facilities do have, they do have doctors, they have nurses, them have the same test. But you have to remember that if something happen, them sending you over to the same hospital, and the same hospital are going to do the same set of tests them where you do over there. So yes, they're going to do the same set of tests over there. Even when they give you the nice little CD, the disc, and say, okay, you bring it over there. Yes, we will look at the disc. But most of the time, the hospital need to make them money too. So they're going to do the same test. So I would say, depending on what is going on, just know that it's best to go and just go to the bigger hospital and get sorted out there. Because when you go to the freestanding, yes, they will deal with you. As I said, they'll deal with you. But most of the time, these facilities, if you have insurance, then you will get certain things going. Because I tell you, sometimes I'll see some patients coming from freestanding, and I feel wonder if it's a medical textbook based on the orders that they have, because they have good insurance. So they go above and beyond to take out every little money out of your little insurance plan to take care of you, which it's fine. It's fine. But just remember that when you come to the hospital to go and do the same test. You understand? So even though you do your CT scan down there, so yes, we're going to do the same test in the hospital. We're going to do the same EKG. And even though the results might come back the same, we're going to do it, because every hospital or every facility need to make their own money, and they need to have the results on file as well. So whenever they admit you, they have something that they're working with. So if you can find the time, depending on what is going on, your chest pain, your shortness of breath, confusion, whatever it is, I understand, say yes, we have the good up insurance, but we have to be smart and just run over to the major hospital. I think with the freestanding, a lot of time we're looking at the wait time, which is fine. But for some persons who don't have insurance, don't waste no time and go to some of these places, because it's not going to benefit you. You're just going to be spending time there, and then you're going to get the little embarrassment to say, oh yeah, don't come back here because you don't have the good insurance. So go to another facility. Definitely, it's better to go to the bigger hospital than to go to the freestanding if you don't have your insurance. The freestanding, you can go there with your insurance, but just know that when you get to the hospital, the major hospital, we're going to do the same test. And not because, not all the time you get fast track, because if the hospital is very busy, and even though, yes, they transfer you over there, because they probably need a specialist, it's not like you're going directly to the floor. You're not going directly to the floor, because it's a freestanding. It's like, just think of it like a clinic. You're not going to the floor. You don't have anybody admitted you there. It would be nice if you could probably ask, which most of the time, most of the hospitals that I have worked at, I've never really seen that part, because that emergency visit is very important. Yeah, man, because it's more though. So, but if you can ask, like, doc, is it possible, if you're sending me over there for admission, is it possible for you to talk to the admitting doctor rather than send you to the emergency room to take out the rest of your bank account? Just make sure that you ask them that question if you can, and so you can try to secure a spot in the inpatient, if it's a case where they're sending you over there because they realize that you definitely need admission based on the CT scan that you did, the EKG that you did, so you can actually bypass that emergency visit. But otherwise, most of the time you come and sit and hang out with us until all of your results come back again for your emergency room visits. If you are going to one of those hospitals that, sometimes they have a sister hospital, sister urgent care. So for example, the urgent care is almost the same name or the same name as the major hospital. It would be best to go to one of those, because the results will be transferable on the same system, because most of the time they're in the same network, so you're able to see the outpatient or the urgent care visit in the hospital. So all of those results will be pulled over. So if you did blood tests there, we'll be able to still use it in the emergency room. So some doctors definitely will go ahead and reorder additional tests. Some doctors will just go ahead and just order tests that are specific to whatever the concern is that we need to follow up or admit you for. And so it might just be a little bit better for you there. The same thing when it comes onto your CT scan. You'd have already done the CT scan in the urgent care setting, so we'll be able to still use the result in the emergency room. The same thing for the chest x-ray. So even though, yes, you're going to be getting billed for an emergency room visit, you might not have that much like radiologic testing to be paying for because you've already done those in the urgent care setting. So you might find out that on cost, it's a little bit better for you as well. And sometimes you might find out that those urgent care providers, because they are a part of the major hospital, they will just go ahead and try to talk with the admitting doctor. So rather than you coming to hang out with us in the emergency room, they can always go ahead and talk with the inpatient doctor. So if you need to go to the surgical floor, medicine floor, if you need to go to ICU, then definitely they can make that call and just get you directly to there. But if you're from a different facility that has nothing to do with them, then most of the time, yeah, you'll come and keep us company in the emergency room until you get your results back. So yeah. So you just have to think about what is going on. You know, what is going on. And I know a lot of times you probably think that it is mild, but you just have to think about what is going on and see where is best for you and look at your options. Kevin, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me see if Truth Talker wants to come on. So it's always better to go to the big hospitals. As I say, it's just that the bigger hospitals just sometimes overwhelming. That's all. Hello.
Hi,
How
how
are
you
you
doing?
doing? I am good. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm just listening to you,
Uh-huh.
and I learn a lot, eh?
Thank you. Nice. So you're in Jamaica now, or
Yeah,
where are you now?
I'm in Saskatchewan in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. Okay, okay, okay.
Canada?
How is the healthcare system there?
Saskatchewan. No, it's okay. It is different from you guys. It is different from you guys. Healthcare is free,
Uh-huh.
and you go to the doctor. You can go do your checkup, and so forth. So it's totally different from you guys. You have free medical here. It's not like the state. So you can go in and get your checkup, whatever you need to be done. Yeah, but that's not my place anyhow. I only go do checks up and so forth. I try to do preventative measures. It is food and herbs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I
And
always tell people preventative care is very important. If you can do that, you save a lot when it comes on to hospital visit and cost.
me not like crowd enough, so I can't manage the crowd. I mean, like you got the hospital with pack and long waiting and so forth. No, 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 no. Can't manage it.
Yeah, it can be. It can be.
I try to avoid it, and as well as me do the herbs too as well. So sometimes it help some people, which is sometimes in some cases them have it so simple, but because they don't know what to do or
Uh-huh.
what herbs to take, then they go to the hospital.
Okay. That's so true.
Yeah, even as small as somebody smash their finger against somewhere, then they go to the hospital. But me observe a lot of things will happen sometimes, even when accidents, where people go to the hospital, they were taken care of, they say they are fine and they're good to go, and they send them home. But after they get home a couple of days, they died.
Oh, so probably they're not doing the, and this is like in the like major accidents, like you're
Yes,
talking
they go
about.
into accident where they break a foot sometimes and arm. and they go to the hospital. But I'm kind of discovering most of the time they died from blood clot.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but but that is why I tell people whenever you're in an accident, sometimes don't look on the accident how simple it is. It is best for you that same cayenne pepper, administrate it to your tea, 2 pinch, whatever tea you're having, administrate it to your tea. I can tell you that work. I see that work wonders.
Okay. I don't really know much
Yeah,
about that one still.
yeah. I tell you, administrate it to your tea, and that work wonders.
Okay.
And then I see cases sometimes where I go to the doctors, and then they have the patient running around doing tests, and they're not getting any help. Like this guy in Jamaica, he had the foot from his knee to his ankle. There was no blood going through there, and they have him doing lots of tests, running up and down, and he's in pain.
Yeah.
And
Circulation problem.
I was wondering, saying what kind of medication they're gonna give him for that issues. Yeah, but um, whatever they gave to him, it was working. He was
Okay.
still having the problem.
Yeah. Come have a perfusion problem there.
So
So.
yeah, so they called me and was asking me what they should do, and I said we're going to get some season for his foot.
Season.
There was one day yeah, season, the same season that you put into the
From
your
chicken.
ginger, your scallion, yeah, your ginger, your scallion, your thyme, and cayenne pepper. And I said to them, we need 2 pan of hot water, 2 pan of water, one hot and one cold. And we use that to unclog his foot. And he went back to work. Because when the foot is doing that, it need heat. It need heat to unclog it. And it need the cold water to shock the foot. So you move it from the hot to the cold. And that is what we do and unclog his foot. So I see cases, even in the state there, even in the state. My brother called me, said a guy that we grew up with, he was passing out. And the doctors didn't know what is happening to him. He go to one of those major hospitals that you said. They did about 45 tests on him. They said everything come back normal. Whatever is okay. His pressure is okay. Everything is not okay. But the body is speaking. What you do when the body is speaking, although the doctor is the result is showing that he's okay. What you do?
Sometimes you just need a detox, depending on what's going on.
All right. His case was like that, and I told him that I said you're healing is at the supermarket. And he was saying, what? And I told him to go get some fruits and send him to the herbal store to get 3 herbs. That's all he took, and went back to the doctors, and they do what they have to do. But he's a trucker, so they have to pass him back to send him back to work. They have to give you a pass for you to go back to work because he's a trucker. So that is what they did, and he went back to work. And he
Okay,
don't.
so
So what? Go ahead.
I was asking, so what about the guy in Jamaica with the foot? Did the herbs help him with his problem or what?
Yes, it unclog his foot.
Okay.
The herb. Yeah, unclog his foot. And
Yeah,
he
herbs are very good.
and he goes back to work. Yes, so we see. I saw a case in they called me from, I think it was Spanish Town, a case in Spanish Town where this lady had some big, huge red bump comes on her foot, 2 foot, both foot. But they had her doing some tests. She do all the tests she needed to do, blood tests, everything. But when they come to the conclusion, they said there's a further seen a case like this and these type of pumps. But they still prescribe a cream for her. But it didn't work. Didn't work at all. So they asked me what they should do. And I said the body need bitters. And I get them administrate bitters and then use the castor oil. But using castor oil, a lot of people don't know in in the doing medicine with castor oil, it doesn't work like how they think it's supposed to work.
Okay.
Castor oil is supposed to work two ways. So what I let her did is to warm the castor oil for the foot. To warm it, massage the foot with it warm first. And after she do that, then I said she go use it cold, just as it is in the bottle. And within 3 days, those bumps disappear. I told her to take the foot and show it to the doctor.
Okay. So you specialize in a herbal medicine where persons consult you on that?
Yeah, I do herbs. I help them freely.
Oh, okay. So you have a website
Yeah.
that, if any of
No, I
my...
don't. No, I don't. I don't charge them, but sometimes I say to them, let the herb speak for itself.
Uh-huh.
I
But if
don't
you're
have
having
to be.
positive results with those, man, you should market yourself, man. Yes, man, understand some free labor. Sometimes it's good. You understand? But if you're
Um,
having... eh?
my plan is to make up some products.
Uh-huh.
So for the time being, what I do now is do it freely, help
Free.
people freely.
Advertise yourself from early. Me not wrong
Yeah,
you.
freely.
Uh-huh.
So that means that when I start to do the make up the stuff now, then people can say, I have tons of people that call day in, day out.
Uh-huh.
Call me day in, day out for consultation and whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I said I'm going to put the herbs them together first, and then because you have to have a. I said, okay, I'm going to tell you about one now with the doctor. This lady, she have a menstruation issue, bleeding and not stopping. So she went to the doctor. They give her. No, they did that. They said they go do all the tests that she needed to do. The only issue she have is the menstruation problem, and she just bleeding and not stopping. So they gave her an injection, and then after the injection, they gave her some tablets to take.
More like some
And
contraceptive.
yeah. So within 6 month time, she's supposed to go back and see the doctors. When she get back there after 6 month time, they told her that they sent her back again to do a CT scan and all the stuff that she did before, blood test. Then after the result come back, they said she have cancer of the womb.
Ooh. Oh, Lord.
So I said, she called me and she was explaining to me, and I said, I tell you what, do you know that is the medication give you the cancer in the womb? She said, she said, she said, she said no. She don't like that if I'm but she said, all right, look at it, very simple. Before you didn't have any cancer in the womb. They did all the tests and there was no cancer you have. It can't be nothing else more than the medication. So she tell me that the medication they gave to her, the tablet, I think it name um something like it name Actolata, something like that it name. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to see if I look up that medication.
everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lion Jungle, Coralie, Bertube, um, Kavon, Kavin. Oh, you changed your name? What is that? No. Kanevanan. Um, so do you believe in natural medicine? Well, it's a combination. Sometimes the body need a little bit of a herb. Loverman
Yeah,
63.
both both
Sometimes,
both both of them work.
yeah.
Both of them work. Yeah.
So your body needs a little bit of a herbal medicine every now and again. So I'm not gonna say solely, but definitely if you can incorporate it into,
You too.
it will help. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah. I think the medication is Aculat or something like that.
Aculat.
Yeah, something like that, I think is the name. But it was making her, she was vomiting blood and so forth, and she called the doctor and said to the doctor, she's vomiting blood, and the doctor says nothing to be worried about. I was wondering how
Oh, that
come.
doctor supposed to tell her so vomiting blood is nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, that's what he told her. But that is the side effects of that medication. I think it's anacolata or something like that, the medication is.
Okay.
So I told her, I said, you're going to get off that medication. I told her to grab some herbs that will stop the situation that you have.
Uh-huh.
And she was anemic. Fix that problem too as well. And she said she's going to write an article about it right now. And she's fine right now. She went back, did her test, do everything, and she's okay.
So she don't have no more cancer?
No, that's what I told you. What we did is just give her the herbs to fix the problem, stop the heavy bleeding that she's have that is not stopping. Because I know her daughter that are great like that. And when ladies are having menstruation problem, the quickest thing is for the doctor to put them on birth control. I know that for facts. I see a lot of those cases. And there are herbs out there to fix those problems.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely you have because there is this young lady who has some products. It's natural products though.
Yeah,
And she has been using them for like, fibroids, menstrual cramps. What
yeah,
else? One person got pregnant, has been trying to get pregnant for some time now. So we're having like fertility problems. And they
yeah,
started using like herbal medicine or, products and
yeah,
the as I said, the menstrual cycle become a little bit more controlled. The bleeding has improved.
yeah, yeah,
Pregnancy number 2 is on the way, and the other one, the fibroids, has actually shrink with the
yeah,
product, and it's more like just detox. It's basically
yeah,
just detox tea, and for
yeah,
some strange reason, it does work. So definitely, when it comes down to herbal medicine, it has its way of doing things, and nothing
yeah.
is wrong with them. But I'm
True.
not gonna say, solely herbal
No,
medicine will
no, no.
fix everything.
I told them that when it comes to diagnostic, I guarantee the conventional doctor don't play with them when it comes
Okay.
to that. I
Okay.
told them that. So
Okay.
and then some medication that you get from the doctors, and then if you combine them with some herbs, it will great, do a great job. So I know those things. As I told you that I watch a lots of you guys, doctors, even from here, the state, in the Middle East, Europe, wherever
Okay.
they are. I like to listen to them, what their testimonies, and listen to them. That's how you
Okay.
learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
And because what you were even stating since night, I learn a lot from what you were saying to as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I learn a lot.
Okay.
And I
Sometimes.
like how you prepare your thing, then you get all your tools together because you know what can happen. And so you're not well equipped.
Yes, I
And
try
that is
to.
key. Yeah, man, that is. But as much as herbs do, And some simple something things sometimes people go to the doctor for,
Mm-hmm.
which is just okay. My mom is a perfect example. My mom is in her I guess she's soon be 80, maybe 80 next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my mom have issues with evil. I heard you speak of short of breath.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom couldn't walk a car length without stopping 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
If she moves, she has to stop. And it's something in the kitchen I use. Food that she eat. Stuff in the kitchen I use to get rid of her short of breath.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you take it one time, and that's it. So as you said, you whenever they come and they have this issue shoulder bread, they have that, you do your checks, you make sure if it's not the heart, if
Mm-hmm.
it's the heart system or whatever system. So you make your checks first before you do anything, which is right.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom had she had bursitis one of the time, and her arm she grew another elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same herb we use to pull it down to
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
She had the next time she had they said their heart is weak.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom don't like medication. They say their heart is weak. And then we get some herbs for her, which is the same. One grew up in St. Elizabeth, they call it Search Me Heart.
Oh, me know that one day.
Okay, you know.
So the name come with it. The name have a meaning behind it. Search my heart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's a heart herbs. So we use the search me heart with the grape
Mm-hmm.
and the cayenne pepper
Mm-hmm.
to fix that issue that she have. They say their heart is weak. She went to the doctor when I think it was last week, and the doctor said to her, "Keep on doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Keep on doing what you're doing." Cause she's fit. She still go tire to goat. She still do a little farming. Everything
Mm-hmm.
she do same. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
You
our
see the
you're.
herb.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, because I was gonna say the beetroot. You know,
Yeah.
beetroot is very good, especially with your sickle cell patients. Because I remember a lot of
Yeah.
patients in
Yes.
Jamaica tend to be drinking beetroot, and
Yeah.
their sickle cell crisis will, sometimes they'll have phases where they're not in a crisis because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
drinking up their beetroot that is helping with their hemoglobin. So,
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
nitric oxide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the beetroot is a wonder vegetable. I can tell you that
Mm-hmm.
because we use beetroot to work. I tell you wonders with the beetroot. The
Mm-hmm.
guy that was passing up in the state,
Uh-huh.
beetroot was one of the mix was in it. The beetroot and the grape
Mm-hmm.
was one of the mix. They combine them together, and that stabilize him and bring him right back.
Okay.
But we like seeded grape, not the grape without the seed. But if we can't get the seeded one, we still use the other one.
Oh,
Seeded
huh.
grape is the best grape you're supposed to use.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
fruits on a whole, it's supposed to have seed in it.
Yes. We can't deal with the seedless fruits for real. Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, that's good though. So what's your take on the turmeric? Turmeric for pain? Because I tend to see a lot of persons talk about that. Like body pain, arthritis and all. Like turmeric and
Okay.
ginger. You'll see what's your go-to.
Yeah, turmeric and ginger is good when it comes to pain, but we go a little more where we add from there where the turmeric, but we had to add the black pepper for it to work.
I saw a doctor online today was talking about that regarding
Yeah, you
yeah.
had to add the black pepper to it for it to work, not just the turmeric alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing
No?
with yeah. But it does work. And then we have other stuff where we had. I'm not sure if you know a tree in Jamaica. The name is pricker hash. You know pricker hash? It
Mm-mm.
grows a maca from the root. It has some maca on it from the go right look.
We know the regular
Yeah,
maca tree, but we don't know one day.
yeah, but prickle hash is a most prickle herbs that has prickle on it is good for pain.
Okay.
Yeah, most prickle like
Okay.
maca tree and so forth is good for pain.
Oh, somebody said the blood issue suburban is good for it as well. Suburban.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so where the gentleman was talking about the turmeric, he said the coconut milk
yeah. That
and
is good.
the coconut milk turmeric. He did spoke about the black pepper and
Yeah,
what else? And then he said something else if you wanted to add like, a little natural sweetener or something like that. But I know
maybe
those three were the three
maybe
products.
yeah. I use maybe I use licorice or I use agave, a syrup named agave. You can use that as a sweetener too.
Okay.
Or
Oh, he
or
added
this
what's that called again? Collagen. Collagen powder he added as well. So
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
collagen.
arthritis,
Yeah,
because I keep on seeing a lot of
yeah,
persons talking about it. So I saw his, and he had like millions of views on it. But he's a doctor that specializes in herbal medicine and all.
yeah, yeah. Which is key. Which is key. Is that when you know how to put the herbs them together and you make a synergy,
Exactly.
and then because herb help enhance herbs, and then you have herbs that you can use. You can use herbs dry, and you have herbs that for you to get the full potential, you have to use it green. So you have to know how and when, how to use them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I always say to
Yeah,
people, like sometimes, yes, you might be using the right things, but the portion, the size, the amount that you're supposed to be using in order to,
get
you
the
know,
job done
get the job done, you might not be using it,
in the
appropriately
right
or the right
format.
amount.
It's
Okay.
just like I was telling you about castor oil. Castor oil supposed to use two ways. Depends on what you're doing. You use it warm and you use it cold. That's the fastest way to get result from castor oil. My mom make my mom make castor oil. My great grand make castor oil for years, and it's up until today. My mom still make castor oil, and she don't have hand to sell it. By the
Hey,
time she get the
so
castor
me
oil
always go
gone.
down and get that. When I go down
Yeah,
Jamaica,
my
me always
mom.
get that though. Come
Yeah.
on. Should not put no salt in there.
No, my mom not. No, sister.
Oh, okay. Coming out. And everybody may trust with castor oil and coming out and go
No,
ball.
no, 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 no.
Eh.
We don't deal with salt in a castor oil.
Because
I
I know
use
some
my
people put it
mom.
in there.
I don't know why they want to put salt in the castor oil. I don't have a clue why they want to put salt in the castor oil. The castor oil is supposed to make it natural form. It don't need salt to work. Yeah, man. My mom tell castor oil, say the castor oil come out. Sometimes she can't even keep her back up for herself.
Eh.
Yeah, man. People come out yard, come sit down and wait for castor oil I make.
Eh.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
She
I
said,
mean,
wait for castor oil come on foreign land, man.
hey, I forgot inbox you. But anyways, if
Mm-hmm.
you guys are here and you want to know, get your castor oil, you can go ahead and inbox Truth Talker. All right, so you
Yes,
can get you
sir.
some of the black old Jamaican good
Yeah,
old
man. Real
castor
black castor
oil.
oil. Yeah, man.
Okay, okay, that's nice. Yeah, man, I always carry my bottle of castor oil come up
Me
because
too.
I like it on my scalp to keep
Yeah,
my
man.
hair thick and all.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yes, man. It good, man. Powerful something. The combination of castor oil and castor oil is a hydrator.
yes.
It hydrate the skin, the scalp, wherever you
But I
put
really
it.
use it for my skin still, because castor oil don't smell good. So,
No,
me stick to the
what
coconut
happened?
oil.
No, what happened? You're doing, what you're doing the right thing with your mix the castor oil when you put it in your ear.
Uh-huh.
So, as what you was saying, a mixture you can use a teaspoon or less than a teaspoon of castor oil with other oil, and it's that powerful. It still does the job what it's supposed to do.
Oh.
Yeah, you
Okay.
don't have to put a whole. People think you have to put a whole half a bucket when you do a mixer. No, 1 teaspoon
Uh-huh.
of that with other oil. The one that me can tell you that.
It's probably me I overdo it then when me I use up my bottle.
No, yeah, maybe I use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably I
as
use
they
too
say.
much.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
castor oil is powerful and strong, you know, and you can see it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in a natural form. You
Mm-hmm.
say it thick.
It's thick.
If you, all right, there
Rub
you
the run
go.
on my side of my face. I
There you
shine up the
go.
whole place. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
so you maybe you're using too much in your mixture.
Uh-huh.
You cut back on some of it and use less with the other oil that you combine with the coconut oil and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Probably mine is just a little bit too thick. Because I just put it in one little
Yeah,
bottle, and then just run it on the scalp.
yeah, yeah.
But sometimes I can feel it like running down the back of my neck and on the side here.
Mm-hmm.
So probably it's
Yeah,
just a little bit too thick.
yeah, man. Castor oil, I wonder oil. Very
Mm.
powerful. And
Okay.
even, yeah. We see all of our cases, man. We work and you know,
Mm-hmm.
cases that where even the doctors them say, you know, them short them kid. Sometimes them say no, some people them not help them just tell them say them can't do nothing more for them.
Mm-hmm.
And them go home habits are them last day this, you know, but as I say we see the herbs them work and work wonders.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes that's the say, your body just need a little detox. It just need a little detox,
Yeah,
a little
clean the
reset.
system, yeah. Clean the system and reset the system.
That's so true. But like the
Hmm.
fact that eliminate the fact that persons still do need to see a doctor,
Of
yeah,
course,
and
yeah,
get
man.
your regular testing. You can't just ignore that part.
The
But like the
doctor,
fact that
they are the greatest diagnostic when it comes to diagnostic, the doctors. They will go and they will tell you exactly what happened to you. And don't no joke about that. And as I said, a lot of the medication that they use to as well, combine it with the herbs, they get a quicker response too.
exactly.
Quick response. I may see that work more than one time.
That's so true.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put the doctor them down. No time at all. No given time. Yeah, man, I don't do that. Mhm.
Okay, that's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
man, the only thing lacking, what is lacking to the people them today is the food that they are eating. Because they are poisoned. They are poisoned in several places. The thing is that they poison the ground with the roundup that they are using to kill the weeds. And after that, okay, look how dangerous it is. You're going to use a pesticide to spray the food that you're going to eat. And you have to put on a protective gear. So what I tell you, sir, eh? That's the reason that you have to put on a protective gear, a long sleeve, put on mask to your face, put on something to cover your eye, and then you're going to spray that on the
And then
food
you
that
come
you're
back
going
and
to
eat
eat.
it.
How that work? I try to figure it out. That is crazy. And then the next place that you get poisoned again is when you go to um the what you call it the 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 the
What's that?
pharmaceutical place where you go get the. I'm not talking about the medicine itself, you know. I'm speaking like the lotion, the soap,
Oh,
those stuff, the roll on, the cologne, those
like the
are
toiletries and so.
yeah, all of those have warning sign on them. So why if something have warning sign on it, why I need to use them? You
Yeah, that's
people
true.
not stop and reason. If you stop and reason it out, you tell me, you know. These things says anything you can put in your mouth not supposed to go in your body.
Exactly.
So
You
how
know, it
would
was
that work?
There was the other day I bought this thing coming so me want to try get a little bit more fiber in my diet.
Yeah.
So I bought this thing and when I got it, I realized it says that it has lead. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like in California, it was saying that if you're using it and you're in California, something like that, or I think it was
Mm-hmm.
made in California, it was saying that there is a higher risk of
Lead.
carcinogens in it. And I'm like, that's
Okay.
just weird. Some never bother use it because I said, no, sir. Like, I can't understand the ones that don't have it.
You're gonna
But
take
to
poison.
see it boldly on the bottle, it was just kind of scary to say that it includes lead and, there's a high risk for carcinogen. I'm like, okay. All right, we'll
You're
just throw
going
it in the bin because this don't make no sense.
no, you can't go eat some you're gonna take poison. A poison I take literal poison.
Yeah,
And
it's just a big
the
risk.
other thing the other thing I see too with the dentist them, I don't know the mercury that they're putting in the people them to fill their teeth. I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand why they are giving that to the people, and it's not good because after a while it start to hurt the people them.
Mm. I really know much about that one there still.
Yeah, no mercury supposed to go in your mouth. That's poison.
Mm-hmm.
Gold not supposed to go in your mouth. No, it's poison.
But we have a lot of persons walking around with them in the
Only
front.
gold.
Yeah, $1 million teeth them.
So sometimes they're coming up with issues where the doctor try to figure out why is this happening to the patient.
Things get absorbed into your body.
Bloodstream.
That's
And
so
it is
true.
simple. A tooth is creating the problem.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So true. Things
And
that
the
we
next
put
thing,
in.
you see a case again. I saw a case with the people them who do what them call it implant breast and another bottom.
Breast BBLs.
Yeah, I see cases. I see I see cases with that too. The
Uh-huh.
patient, the patient having problem,
Uh-huh.
but they are having problem in one of their eye. The eye is swollen, and the eye look like it coming out of them head. And the doctor them are trying to figure out what really happen. No care what them do, it is same thing a happen. So our next doctor who dealt with herbs said to them say is the implant breast the lady having it's
That is
leaking
causing it.
inside. Yeah, and that create the problem. They never believe. And when them eventually take heed and remove it, the eye does go right down.
Oh, gee.
Just as simple as that.
That kind of move from the herbal thing for a second, but as you touch on the breast implant, I remember I
Yeah,
was at doing this clinical, and there was this lady who went and did her breast in Mexico. So this
yeah,
lady went to Mexico and got her breast implants done, and
yeah.
when she came back to the States, breast are going work for how long? Breast was
Mm-hmm,
okay, but
mm-hmm.
some persons are just built for small breast. But you
Yeah.
decide that if you are
Don't put
small, you want an extra, extra, extra large, but your
mm-hmm.
body is not structured for that.
For that.
So
Yeah.
I remember she came in and you know, she was having pain. So apparently, when you do the breast implant, you're supposed to be wearing, is it an arm sling? I don't remember if it's supposed
Yeah,
to
something like
you're
that. Yeah,
supposed to
them
be
supposed
wearing
to wear
some sling
something
or
to keep
something
it up.
like that. So her implants were giving her problem,
Yeah.
and she was just having a lot of pain because
Mm-hmm.
the size that she had in her skin was just not adequate to
You
take
hold
on the
it.
size breast that she has.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the right, either the right or the left, one of the breasts was, okay, and the other one
Mm-hmm.
is like the
Was
lady was
cramped up.
holding down like this because
Mm-hmm.
this arm can't work anymore because of guess the
No.
muscle and everything that they or the skin that they pulled down, and in order for the pain to not be that bad, like
Yeah.
the one of the breasts was like just hurting her.
What you
You
know,
actually
yeah.
see the actual rock like it just like a tear down on her skin, and it would just look so painful. And then funny enough, the doctor could just only tell her that him can't do anything regarding her breast. We could only give her some pain medication and tell her that she have to go back to Mexico, or
Get
she
it
can
out.
find somebody else. And she was like, no, I cannot afford it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like the doctor is saying, this is what we can do. We can't do anything for you right now. I cannot touch that breast. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So as you were talking about that, I was just kind of remembering that case
Yeah.
where, sometimes we put ourselves in some situations and we don't really understand, because this is what she went to Mexico to get done. And in like less
Yeah.
than 6 weeks, there's
Problem.
problem already. But
Problem
it seemed as
occur.
though she wasn't wearing the
The
sling that
braces
she was
that you're
supposed to be
supposed to.
wearing to keep
Yeah.
up. But I tell you, she was like literally bending over like this because she was just in so much pain. But
Crazy,
yeah,
man. Crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
those BBLs, breast implants, it's problem left, right, and center. So we really understand.
Never designed for that.
The body is not, yeah. So if you're thin, you have to work with something your size. The Lord give you something. Can understand if you want to reduce it a little, because you have some persons who just have like big boobs that
Them want
definitely
reduce.
them back give them problem because of the size. You understand? They never did anything to enhance it, but then they
Yeah.
just need a little bit of a relief on their back.
Reduction.
Me okay with that. That is okay. But you have some persons who are just small and they definitely
They
need it
want
a
to
little
get
bit
it big.
bigger. But I just think some persons just go a little bit too far with it.
Extra.
You know.
That's crazy, man.
So, yeah.
That's
Nothing wrong,
crazy.
I'm not encourage you to go ahead and do it. But you have some persons who
That's
do it and
crazy.
very discreet, because them just feel like them chest just flat for a female.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely want a little bit there, and they will just go ahead and do it. Not saying that it's okay, but to each his own.
Yeah,
You have some persons
and I
who will
just
just
said
go ahead and jump from a small to a
yeah.
extra large, which the body not designed for that. So just have to be
Well, I
careful.
think they should let them know in the long run it will create a problem in the long run.
I think they
And
already know
then
all of those things, but still people go ahead and do it. They still do. So they still go ahead and do it. I remember when I just moved here to the States for the first time, and I really
yeah.
understand all of that well, because never really did I
Mm-hmm.
expect certain things. When you're coming from a different country, you come here,
Yeah, yeah.
not
Not to get
expecting
them.
certain things,
Culture shock.
and the culture shock. And then I'm telling you, like, I remember the first time I was doing an EKG, and
Yeah.
like, it was, let's just say the person was probably like in the 90s, was an elderly person.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I went to do the EKG, and I didn't even know what to do in the room anymore, because I'm confused, because I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at a 90-odd-year-old who
With a
did
breast.
a breast
Yeah.
implant.
Breast
And when I tell
candidate.
you this
Yeah.
something is so hard, I was like, how is this even, how are
Happen.
even persons doing this? Because it just was just not looking right. You
Yeah.
understand? It just never looked right. So yeah, after a while you come to accept it. As you go along, you accept
Yeah.
a lot of things and just work with it, because this is
Yeah.
what,
It's a different culture. Yeah.
different culture and all. But I tell you, it was a shocker the first time when I saw it,
Yeah.
because I said this never really make any sense. It makes sense to just stick to your small boobs, because
Yeah.
later
Definitely.
on, look good. Look
Yeah.
good at
Later
all.
on, no problem.
Yeah, look good, and it, there's just so much going on with it.
My friend's sister, she did put in braces, and they had to took the braces out of her mouth. Time she put the braces in, all hell broke loose.
What
The
was
body
happening?
start the body start react.
Hmm.
Pain hurting, pain, everything they had was to take it back out of her mouth.
Hmm.
But what it does, it damage her gums.
Hmm.
It let her gum soft.
Hmm.
So I told them that you have herbs can harden back the gum.
Hmm.
So yeah, I tell them some herbs to get to fix the problem.
Okay.
But that is what happened to her because the body react right away. The body react after she finished putting those braces. So we
Mm,
know that the body is a great detector. Anything the body don't want, you can't put it in it.
that's true. You know,
And
one
if the
time I said
body,
that. Eh.
go ahead,
No, me just
you
say, you
go
know,
ahead.
one time I said I go get braces because I want to lose weight. One time I said I go put in braces because I feel like my teeth buff. I just feel as though when I get my braces in, I'm gonna be drinking a lot of fluids, a lot of smoothie because I love my chicken, I love my bone, I love my dumpling. I just feel as though that is just one way for me to cut down on eating those food and kind of change my
Yeah,
diet, put in the braces and
yeah,
then call it a day and then lose weight. Because I had a friend
yeah.
who had the braces in and she lost a lot of weight, but she needed it. You understand? She needed
Yeah.
it. And I was like, yeah, man, if it worked for you,
That'll be. Yeah, right. It
Lord have
happens.
mercy. So when you're young, I ain't really
Not thinking. Not a
not
reason it
thinking
out.
at
Not
all.
reason it out.
You just
That's
think
too
it
much.
cute because you know you have the rainbow colors, you have the Rastafarian colors in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the different you call it elastics that they put in there. But yeah,
Yeah.
man.
There is nothing come from your youth until now. There's nothing come where me don't reason it out. You
Uh-huh.
can't bring something that's come to it, give me some and I reason it out.
Mm-hmm.
I said to them even to the day, I said technology is it good, but it made to the world worse off.
If I tell you.
If technology crashed tomorrow morning, a lot of suicide and all sorts of stuff like that.
Oh Lord.
A lot of people can't function, won't be functioning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's
if
true.
tomorrow morning it crash,
That's true.
because everybody depends is upon the phone to do every single
Everything.
thing for them. So nobody can bother go back go write down and multiply on paper, get the pen and
Well,
but you
ask
know.
chat. Then go and ask chat the question. But it even happened to me, because a lot of times, I'm traveling, I'm driving, and it's places
Mm-hmm,
that are very common to me. I mean, I tell you,
mm-hmm.
say, if the GPS ever mess up or no signal not there,
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
can't
me
find
don't
the
know
way
which
around.
part we go. Me just pull over one side and I try to figure out which part me live. You understand? Because a lot of
All
times
right.
it is so difficult to find my way without GPS.
No,
So if it was,
I can go to a place the first time using a GPS, and the next time I going back there, no GPS.
that was me in Jamaica, but
Yeah,
not in the US here. You
I
can't do
do
that
that in
here.
foreign. I do that a lot in US and Canada.
Can't
I
do that
come
here, bro.
down, I go North Dakota, or I go Portland, Oregon, or wherever I go. Because what you want to know is the main areas, which is the main roads, which is the main highways, like the 14, the 28, the 100, the whatever. When you know how to get onto the main highway, the hardest part is to get off to go in other areas. So you know a town, we use town to mark the place, we use areas. Yeah, we use landmarking and do a lot of that. So it make it more easier. But as what you said, if you depend on the GPS around the clock, you're gonna have problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna have
GPS.
problem.
I remember the other day I went to this place and it's not somewhere that is familiar to me, but GPS keep on telling me to continue straight. But me, I wonder if because it was a new road, the GPS
Yeah,
never
sometimes the
really,
GPS
pick
don't
it up
update.
yet. But it had
It
tell me
don't
to
pick
go
it
over
up.
the cliff. You understand? Me, I said, no, sir. Let me turn off GPS and just like, start driving around until I figure out, okay, then let me turn on back this GPS thing because this thing seemed like it's suicidal. You
Yes, yes.
understand? But that's just it. That's just
Yeah,
it.
man, it happens. It happens. You
It
know.
will.
What I like here in Canada here is that you see like the people that the farmers they have some stuff that they do which makes sense. They like go camping, but the way they camp there is no internet. So everybody participate.
Oh, can nobody not up on them phone.
Nobody not on your phone. So everybody have to participate.
Uh-huh.
You notice
Okay.
nowadays anywhere internet go and you go for have a conversation or anything or meeting, every people go up on them phone.
You can't even have a conversation. You can't have a
Yeah, yeah. All right.
conversation because people are stuck onto their phone from before you even get there.
True, true.
So the place is so quiet because everybody is on TikTok
On
and
the phone.
everything
Nobody
else.
communicating.
That's true. And it's the same thing with kids. You send the kids outside to play. Them come like they don't know what to do. Them don't even know that them can pick up a stone and throw it.
And to it.
They don't even know they can go and pick a little, something from the bush and start turn it into something. You understand? You send them outside and it's like, okay, the world is coming to an end
All
because
right.
they don't have a tablet. They don't have certain things to get them occupied.
All right. Okay. That is why, and it depends where you are. You see, in Canada, in the mountains, the kids that in the mountain learn a lot about the outside atmosphere because they don't take them outside with no gadgets at all.
Good.
Them bring them in the woods and all them something and teach them how to make stuff and all them something. That me kind of like in the mountain when me used to live in the mountain.
Okay.
But me not living at the mountain anymore. Me come back on the flatland. But
Oh,
they
okay.
teach the kids them a lot. They do a lot of outdoor.
Mm-hmm.
They do more outdoor more than even indoor.
Well, that's good. That's good. Teach them
Yeah.
to be tough. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
teach them. I no care. I want to tell you, say no care what kind of if you have asthma, where you at want having outside and gone,
Eh?
rain a fall and gone outside.
Yeah.
Snow, them gone outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, as what you say, them does make them change, them does get tough outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah, man.
man.
Them kind of environment and more my boy putting figure up,
Yeah, man, rough and tough. I learn to make stuff.
Exactly. Get very handy.
Yes, man.
Yeah, so hard work not seem like nothing to him.
Yeah.
When I'm supposed to help around the yard, him to go outside and see the grass and I say, oh, let me call that person to come and cut the yard. At least he's supposed to be able to go out there and take up the lawnmower or the walker or something and try a thing. You understand? Go there
Yeah,
and
but
try a
what?
thing. You might find out
Yeah,
that he probably just like it, enjoy doing it. So, yeah.
what I love, what another key thing I think they should how to grow the kids is to get them inquisitive from they are young.
The
If
money
you
only
get
inquisitive
no,
when they come on the tablet.
okay, all right. If you look at I want to look at the Asians or the Chinese, wherever they are, the kids is right there learning, looking on, looking on. I want to touch stuff. So it's like they get the kids them inquisitive. And from early out, the kids them start help around. You get them doing things. You know that in China, the kids them have them little stuff where them teach them how to make them breakfast from early. If you look at it, their culture is just totally different.
Yeah.
So the kids them just grew up with this want to do. It's like them want to do stuff. No, they don't have this lazy mentality in them. Them want to
Exactly.
help the parents. Looking in the Jamaica and the wholesale, where you see the Chinese, the kids come home from school in bed, they're not sending home.
Come help
Ah,
still.
they not come help. So even then, when the business hand over to them, then even know how to handle
Already
the
know it
business.
from a tender age.
Go back and look at the Jamaican who own a business in Jamaica. When him father I do the business, them buy him car. When him a get big, he get little bigger. Him buy a car, him drive up and down him and friends. When him father then left the business, him don't know one thing to move around because he don't have business with them.
And then we wonder what happened.
Yeah,
Wonder what happened.
yeah.
Or them do inherit the business and the
I
business
can't manage it
them can't manage.
because they wasn't there from early on to see what the father does. So
Them
they
start
just go
learning
right
it.
away. We see a lot of that happen, man. Lot of that
That's true.
happen already.
That's so true.
Yes, man.
Yeah, man. That's so true.
So what time is it where you are now?
It is 12:50 a.m. So it is Sunday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you are 1 hour ahead of me.
It is Sunday morning.
And
So
11 p.m.
I mean, I was sleeping earlier today because I never end up going church. So I was
Okay.
sleeping, so I kind of have a little bit of an energy,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely need to sleep. Huh?
Oh, you have some energy.
Yeah, man. The other night I was doing a live, but persons were on the live, and it was good because it was the first time I was doing an actual live where it was so interactive. But may I tell you, say my eyes were closing down. I was tired because I do go to my bed late and wake up very early. You know,
Yeah.
early because of I guess when I was younger, I used to get up very early, so it's just a part. It's just the
Yeah, yeah,
habit.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You're just still in a me if you get up at 5:30 in the mornings, regardless of what time I go to my bed. So
Yeah,
yeah.
the same way. 'Cause I used to wake up and wait for my father whenever I make tea to go early in the morning and make some tea and hear something.
Uh-huh.
So enough of that.
Oh no, on Sunday. Well, Sundays was different because you don't really have anything doing on Sunday except like prepping for school. But during the
Yeah.
summertime, none of you that hear when I talk about when I used to work on the farm with my daddy, and we have to get up in the morning and go to what we call bustle or bush. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
go
go
to
make,
school.
huh?
Go help him before you go to school.
No, 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 no. This is summertime. What do you mean by school?
Oh,
School is
summertime.
out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
School out them time there. So I have to get up early in the morning because you try to beat the sun. So you have to go over there early in the morning to the bush to bring the wood. So you can make the charcoal. I mean, I tell you, so we used to hate it. You couldn't complain them time there. Because if you complain, lick with a lick, you don't get some breed a lick.
I used to do enough of that, man. To help them early morning, I just say.
Ice cream cone. What is that? Thank you, Cutie
Yeah.
Poo, too, for you for that ice cream cone. Ah, me used to rose, so I don't really know what the ice cream cone be, but thanks. I guess it's a gift, it's like a
Yeah,
gift.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, we used to get up early in the morning
Help out,
and go
prepare it.
do. Yeah, man. It wasn't even a help out. It was a part of your regular duty. It wasn't no option. Is that a question like, do you want to come over to the bush and help? Nope. It
No,
was,
nobody not.
huh?
Yeah, got bush. Nobody not ask you that. You're
Nobody
going
not
to bush,
ask
so
you
you're going
that.
to the
Yeah, go
farm.
bush, and that's it.
And them cut you a little bungle where you can manage.
I know you, and
Yeah.
you pick up it. So you know that you have the
And pick
entire day
up,
if you go do that, and then the next day,
yeah.
and the next day, and the cycle just
And pick up what
continue.
you can manage.
Exactly. So the
Is your
first,
dad still alive?
eh?
Is your dad still alive?
Yeah, my parents are alive. Uh-huh.
Ah, and your mom.
Uh-huh.
How
Sometimes
much
I'm
are you
listening to
later?
my conversation, eh?
How much are you?
So, four of us.
Okay, so when you guys sit down and start, can we,
Sometimes we are dead. We are dead sometime. Because, especially sometime like I'm here and my sister, because my sisters are in Jamaica.
yeah.
And sometimes, they would text and just be reminding me of some of the things that we normally do when we were younger.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes it just come in at the right time. Cause sometimes my sister would say, "You remember when you used to have diarrhea and you have to run down the hill?" And I say, Lord
Yeah.
have mercy. Because it's talk about the time when, where the house was and the bathroom was at the time, it was a little bit further from the house because the
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
was
yeah.
closer to the house was broken down, and so we had to use another one. And so sometimes she
Yeah.
out of the blue, she just send a text message. And even when you're sad, you just have to start
Yeah,
laugh. You
yeah,
just have to get dead with laugh because that was just it. Or sometimes she would be
yeah.
like, "You remember when grandma beat you for doing this?" And I'm like, "Okay then." But
Yeah.
yeah, like, looking back and just thinking about the different things, there are sad moments and there are moments when we just laugh and a did because you can't keep it back. You can't
Yeah,
keep it
man.
back. And then there's sometimes it's just like a bawling moment. Like you just decide to start talk about it and then you're like, oh my word.
Yeah,
But yeah, I have no regrets regarding my childhood, you know.
man, I have no regret. Me,
Well,
I got
never
my
really
parents
like the
doing it.
charcoal, as I say in another video. I never like the charcoal pickup thing. I never like that story there, but I never really have no option. I never like the charcoal. I never like the pimento shelling. I never like the sorrel picking because them stuff they mess up your fingernail. And even though I'm never that hot girl or anything, but I just never
No,
like it because yeah, take too much time to scrub your fingernail and cut them down low to make them look presentable. I couldn't deal with it. So if I was supposed to change anything, probably I would have changed that portion of it, but everything else I would let it stay. I want to change one bit about it because I think it has prepared me well for all the
yeah,
different challenges in life,
yeah.
all of these experiences, it helped me into becoming the person I am today, and that's the most
Done.
important thing. So I want to change none of it. None of it.
Yeah, man, my father have nine away with our mother, and when we get together, nine boy, when we get together, I start talking, man, I'm pure laughing,
Up here laughing. Mm.
Yeah, man. Remember beating, remember going to the farm, remember the donkey, remember the dog, remember everything, man.
Every single thing.
That's a beauty, man.
Yeah,
And I
man.
just say, that is what strengthens us when we even come at this side of earlier. There's nothing to fear we because, how we was, how we grew up. Nothing fears us.
Exactly.
Yeah. They take us on the journey up until this day. So, we give thanks to them. Give thanks to the people.
Exactly. Give thanks for the struggles in life.
Yeah, guys, straighten me out. The
E-
struggles. Yeah,
Exactly.
that carry you through, man. So to the day when I heard them speak of the crime even in Jamaica, and they are saying that the youth them poor and the youth them whatever. I was saying to them, say, don't say that. In my time, we know about poor. In this time, I said, when you go to Jamaica, you think of foreigner there. I
Exactly.
said, I said to them, who down at Jamaica wear walk barefoot, who down there walk where they have to put cardboard in your shoes bottom because the bottom drop loose.
Jump out.
Who are wear patch batty pants down there? Who?
Pia Clark's pound foot.
Eh?
Clark's pound foot and Levi's.
Yeah. So that is what I was saying to them. I said, don't talk about Jamaica about it's because the youth them whatever. We did poor and we never go around and hurt nobody and then something there.
I
It's
think
just it's
technology
their life.
nowadays.
Yeah, they are making more money than we when we are grow. Look at the cameras, just them a make up bag of money and all they're buying is weapon and a fight and a kill one another. I said to them, say don't talk about poor. We not Jamaica not poor anymore. A long time this is that.
Back in the days, people are doing so well for themselves nowadays.
All right. You see, I just said when you go to Jamaica, you're looking at most yard. Either one, two, or three car in that yard. In my time, who could have own car in them time? Eh? And people gonna tell me about poverty?
You probably have one or two donkey.
Eh?
Yup.
Donkey and mule.
You have a two donkey
And
tie
when
up.
you have a donkey, you're rich.
You're rich. Oh, hold on. When you have a donkey, you're rich. You have money.
Of course. So I don't
Jesus.
know what they're talking about Jamaica. Poor. Poor where?
And them stay there and them going, so what is poor? What poor people are go through when they hear say it, the oil are going with things down there.
Okay, where you
Lord
go?
have mercy.
Where you
No,
go?
because I think a lot of persons are going to be moving back home because crime has gone down significantly, Crime has gone down
Not
significantly.
too
And
bad.
I'm so excited about that for Jamaica. I'm so
And
excited
and
about
and and this is to me why crime is what it is in Jamaica. I can reason it out. It is very simple. Kingston And Spanish Town used to be the crime,
Capital.
the capital. And when it started to move to the countryside, because I don't think the government is smart either.
Mm-hmm.
Montego Bay is a city. There should be a prison in Montego Bay too as well, just as that in Kingston. So when these guys, enough of these guys left from the other part of the parish them and go to prison or jail or where them are in Kingston, they make friend with these other guys from Kingston.
That's true.
And then the judgment start.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the people when them start to make like them a make money for the scamming or what them doing, them start to take it and buy arms. So I don't think arms going to help them. Them are gonna be a Ghana or what they want to be. And then the whole thing, everybody now start buy gun. I don't know so much gun come from Jamaica.
Oh Lord.
And
Just
the next wicked people them know what the man go we got firing off of the corner. And see how the corner come help and him not send back. No equipment to help the people them. A
yeah.
gun him buy and send back to in country. So you
Just
can't
no.
love your country. Eh? Look at that. You buy gun and send back from the corner, go give the youth them where you grow with. And then them start kill off one another.
Yep. That's just sad. But I think with the new what you call it now? With the man in that brown uniform name again. Whoever is in charge of crime in Jamaica, he is doing a really, really good job because he's a very smart guy. He knows about technology. And so he has been using all of those to actually cut down on crime in Jamaica. I saw this news the other day where I think crime
Yes,
has
you're
gone
right,
down
because
to
it's the same technology. Yeah.
because everybody have cell
It's
phone
the
now and
technology the
everybody
gunman use.
eh?
Yeah.
No man, say everybody have
It's
cell
the
phone
same technology
nowadays.
the gunman use to do them crime.
Eh. So I don't know, but
Yeah,
everybody
so them
have
are
cell.
use the same technology and catch up on them.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody live streaming, everybody have, things up and running and show them locations. So the police I'm just not gonna watch where them there. You understand? So they have the technology, they're not using it wisely. And so the government is actually doing a good job with crime and violence. I think they're doing really well in the Caribbean as well. You have other Caribbean countries talking about Jamaica and the crime, how it has gone on significantly and basically what they're doing. So I think once they work on that, hopefully they'll start working on the health system. And that way, I'm ready to leave America and go home. Yeah, man. I can feel comfortable with the crime and the healthcare that it might just be a little bit better. Yeah. So I'm optimistic with that. Might take a little while before things get better, but yeah. I see where things are improving. Because that is one of the major factors as to why a lot of persons probably don't want to go back there, the crime and the healthcare. Accessing healthcare, they just feel as though, if they go back there, they might go dead. Which really and truly, yes. That's the situation some days when you look at it. If you don't have money, and even if you have money, sometimes accessing the care is just a little bit, harder for you just the same. But I think if they have their MRIs, their CT scan machines at those hospitals, because nurses don't really want to migrate again. Because nurses they get a little bit more money in Jamaica. So you're not finding everybody trying to crave this American dream anymore. Because they realize that when some persons like me come and talk about what, we're experiencing or what the situation is like, you have some people not really interested in that American dream anymore. You understand? So,
And then as you say,
huh?
wherever you go, you have to go with a plan.
Exactly. Exactly.
Have to.
And it's more of, sometimes persons move from one place and come to another land and they find out that things that you were, how you saw nursing in your country is not the way it is here. And so after a while, they kind of, really say love it again, if you want to say that, but you kind of lose you know, that side that you had towards nursing. So some persons not really feeling that anymore. So that's just it. And they really want to continue in nursing because of their experience here. And when you talk back to other persons from your culture, that is something that they're not really interested in. So that's just it.
That's true, 'cause even then I have a friend she does teaching, and then she's in the state, and the way the kids behave, because she's not used to that, it's like it affect her. Like I say, culture shock and all them things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
have to learn to adapt and then navigate through the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I
So
say, a
that's
plan is key.
mm-hmm. That's
I
just it.
would
And
give a
then now
plan.
with and then I think, you know, with the whole Medicaid issue or Medicare issue going on as well, and depending on how it will affect, you know, the hospitals and nurses, I just feel as though it will feel as though when you're there, like, you know, probably Jamaica, where you're gonna have these hospitals just being overcrowded. Everybody is not gonna be able to get the same fair treatment, and so that's just it. That's just it. Some persons are just not gonna get the testing that they need. You understand? When it comes down to those rural communities, then it's gonna be the same thing. So yeah, it's just gonna be a little bit
Hectic,
worse.
hectic, burden.
Yep, and that's it. Anyway, so what time now? 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
I think
never go,
I wash
never
my
go.
hair. Got smoking on my hair. Huh?
Yeah. So bless up yourself,
Yeah,
sweetheart.
man. Yeah,
And you
man.
can
No
inbox me
problem.
for the castor oil when you when you're ready.
Yeah, man. I'm
Uh,
definitely going to inbox you because I'm
yeah.
gonna need castor oil. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right,
All
no
right.
problem.
Thank you for tuning in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Bless up yourself, sweetheart.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Bye.
All right.
All right. So I see some persons joining in. Lorna Brown, thank you. Benjamin 12, Jordy Smith 51, vibing with VC Wagwan. Ricky West, TS Music Entertainment. Hello, hello. Everybody else, hello. Goat 137, still a 6 eel 41. All right. Hey guys, can't you go ahead and just double tap my nose? Like up the live. Like up the live, man. And send my live up to what is here? 2,000. Let's try to see if I can get to not 6,000. Kinda too, you know, just kinda too high. 3,000. That's all. That's all I'm gonna be asking for. If you could like up the live, if you guys aren't sleeping yet. All right. Then I'm gonna go. But it was a good live tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. For all the persons who are still hanging on, I really do appreciate you taking the time out. All right, and I will see you guys in another live. And thank you for that ice cream cone. Take a look what the ice cream cone means. Cutie poo 2 for you. All right, really appreciate you guys joining in. All right, so yeah, gonna get up in the morning and wash my hair because I want to do over the front. Was a good thing I never washed it Thursday because yesterday I was making coal for like some barbecue, or not barbecue, jerk chicken, and so up here smoking on my hair. So I'm gonna wash it in the morning and oil it up and everything with my castor oil and all them stuff there. Go over to YT, subscribe to my page, my YT page. All right, it's ThinkNursing 1. I do share long form content. I share my exercise routine, even though some days I can't keep up because I'm not really that fit 100%. But do go over there and check it out. I also talk with, like, you know, nurses. I'm trying to get my podcast up and running where I talk with nurses, sharing like a day in the life, their journey, and also gonna, you know, just kind of make it expanded a little bit to other professionals out there to share their stories. So if you're a truck driver, if you're a DJ, if you are a doctor, yes, I will definitely want to interview you guys just to share your story So just in case anybody is here on the channel and is curious, want to hear information regarding how to get into CRNA school and hearing it from, you know, somebody else, their experience, I want to just talk with them, you can always go ahead and check out that as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what I want my channel to be more focused on. But I do share long form content over there on YT. So definitely go over to my page and subscribe, ask questions, and I will definitely answer. All right, but until then, I'm out. All right, that's what Vibes Cartel say. I'm out. Or I can go something like this. I'm out. Anyways, enjoy your night, guys, and I'll see you guys in another live. All right, bye bye.